Hey. Let's get us together. All right. Here we go. Okay.
I'm arguing. I'm coming with the fire. We're starting right with the fire. Apparently, my audience is full of a bunch of fucking degenerate, disgusting, fucked up freaks because they're mad that I took too long to go take a piss because apparently I'm taking too long to wash my goddamn hands. No, you fucking spend 2 to 3 minutes washing your hands. You scrub the back of your hands. You scrub underneath your fingernails. You get the gunk off of your hands. You use antimicrobial soap of some form. Underneath your fingernails is the most disgusting part of the human body. It's the highest
pretty bad
per square whatever measurement you want, right? Because I don't fucking know the term, right? Of
millimeter?
Bacteria, whatever it is, right? Per square, it's whatever unit of measurement you want. It actually doesn't matter because it's true no matter whatever per square measurement you use. Okay. Whatever amount of time you spend scrubbing your asshole, you should spend more time scrubbing underneath your fingernails because there's way more bacteria.
Your cat doesn't scrub their asshole. That's probably the problem.
I don't know my chat's specific, hygiene, but I do know that fucking apparently I'm an outlier and a weirdo.
You should wash your hands. You have the correct prescription. And Lacto, I don't know if you're talking to us or not.
Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through okay?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, you're good. You were just muted.
Okay. Unironically, one of the best reasons I think to oppose Pete Hegseth is the fact that he doesn't wash his hands. He doesn't.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, everything else isn't the bombings, whatever. But like the hand thing, that's I got a real problem with that. That's fucked up.
I believe this is what they call a red flag. Admiral Gibbs, we can hear.
I mean, am I on stream?
Yeah.
Okay, good. About time. I mean, listen, I'll tell you the one thing Prime does that pisses me off the most is if you come in and you put like an avatar screen up, he won't move you in. And then when you do come back, he just expects you to sit there patiently and wait like we don't all have streams. No, motherfucker, bring us in with the avatar. We're here. We're probably doing something we don't want on stream.
We're on prime time.
I don't give a shit if we're on Jesus Christ time himself. I'm going to tell him the same goddamn thing. This is a Bayman bullshit. So guess what? Enjoy my asthma. That's what you're gonna get for that bullshit. How you like when that dictates, Fabian?
Sounds gross.
But hold on.
I could hear Gibbs screaming from my living room, bro. What the fuck?
That sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
And you can hear breathing
from your living room.
Good. You should. I hope you did.
So, I had an ex-girlfriend. Surprisingly, right? A girl. Oh, wow. But no, I had an ex-girlfriend who would go to the bathroom and get back out in fucking record time. Like, first of all, she's a girl, right? There's
suspicious. I'm like your Detective Dokes in the living room, just like.
I was like, I've been trying to time her. Like, no,
surprise, motherfucker! You just open the door and she's not washing her hands.
There's no way that she beats me going to the bathroom, right? Like, I just pull my pants down quick and take my dick out and pee.
Right, because you don't have labia, presumably, right? Like, presumably you don't have labia, right? Like, so you have less to wipe. You know what I mean?
Dude, way to presume.
But it's crazy how fast she was. I was trying to wrap my mind on how are you doing this?
Apparently this is a self-report that you get dirty pussy.
Maybe, yeah. Possibly.
I mean, logically speaking,
yeah. But that was a great mystery that I was never able to solve before we broke up. But no, you're right. I try to make sure I scrub quite well. I don't think I scrub over my nails well enough. I think that would be an accurate criticism of me. But I do my wrists, right? I do my wrists and above my or below my wrist or whatever, right? I do down here as well. Because if you're wiping, right? You're wiping, you put your hands underneath. Your hand is touching your wrist. It's touching the toilet and stuff, right? And germs anyway spread down below the wrist. Yeah, you're touching the rim, right? Like the seat. Of the
I get the top of my wrist, kind of maybe sometimes.
Wait a minute, hold on. No.
Wait, okay, do you reach from the back?
No, I don't reach from the back. I reach from the side.
Whoa. When you wipe, you
okay.
go from the side like this.
Hold on. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Now you guys are fucking.
I don't know what
Okay.
you got into.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Now we gotta.
I'm like, how are you touching the toilet when you're wiping?
I'm
This
sorry,
doesn't make any
Char-
sense.
You're one sec.
Hold
My
on,
fridge is yelling at me because I didn't.
Charlie, I do apologize for what you just walked into. Things are.
I have no. All I heard was something about the toilet.
And that's you've already heard too much. Okay, so
Just so you know,
when
this
I'm
isn't toilet humor. This is toilet serious.
No,
Continue.
this is toilet logistics.
when I'm wiping, right, I take a bit of toilet paper, right, and I put it under me, right, and I do my business there. I wipe, okay, all right. But like oftentimes, right, like my wrist, it comes in contact with the seat because it's under me. The seat is under me. That's where there's a space between my thigh and the seat. Then that's where my hand goes, and oftentimes my wrist touches.
All I'm hearing is that you don't own a squatty potty, and you need one. It will change your life. Trust me.
Also, you can get $30 bidets on Amazon, easy to install.
I want a bidet. I actually really do want to do.
They're so nice.
Yeah.
Also,
what
Charlie,
are you,
gay? Right, Mike.
Wait, what
yeah.
I think you might be using the wrong mic. At least it would seem like you have a better quality mic. But it doesn't sound like you have a good quality mic.
Yeah,
it might have picked up your cam mic.
Yeah. But hold on. Am I the only one? I'm not the only one whose wrist touches the seat. Correct, Lactoid?
You might have gigantic hands. Because
I do
constantly touch the wrist.
I'm a giant human being all around, and I do not have this issue. This is
I was gonna
something
say
you need to figure out.
Kai said that there's a gap between his thigh and the edge of the toilet seat, and I think I might just have thick thighs because there is no gap for me between the thigh and the toilet seat. It is
no. I'm leaning to the side. I lean to the side. Yeah. And
well, that's why I asked, do you do this when you wipe? And you were like, you looked at me
I
and
didn't know what you were talking about. Yeah, I lean. Yeah, of course I lean, right?
Okay.
And so in that space, that's where my wrist touches.
I feel like you just need to lean more, brother. Like something's going on.
Why would
I got this revolutionary concept for you. Are you ready for this revolutionary concept? All right, I'm gonna blow your minds. All right.
Gibbs doesn't wipe at all.
No. Check this out. You just stand up and then you wipe, and then you get everything. Because when you're trying to reach under here, all this shit, you're gonna miss shit. You're gonna miss shit.
That's a no. That's a bad idea.
No, it's a good idea. Just use more toilet paper. It'll be all right.
Flex can fall.
I'll tell you the tech. You get the
then you get a mop and you mop it afterwards. I mean, and if you're in public, who gives a shit?
This is too much. Like
that's what you have a Swiffer for, bro. Like, come on.
Just get the bidet.
Some Lysol.
Get some toilet paper in your hand
and use a real mop
to protect them from the bidet, and then you're good.
Yeah, and then but then you're gonna just leave shit in your ass probably because y'all are not getting all of that.
How you keep the shit out of your ass.
Bidet is literally cleaning it way better than.
Yeah.
When you wipe after a bidet, all you're doing is getting rid of moisture. That's like you're not gonna find any
shower after shit. It'll be fine.
No, dude.
That's also, similar-ish concept, especially if you have a detachable shower head. Then you can get right into your butt.
There you go. Exactly. Or just use a pressure washer. Either one's fine.
Don't do that, boys. That's
Gibbs is
you'll
one
die.
of those everything short of conservative. He's like, as long as it's not a man, I can have anything jet powering my asshole, and it's
that's definitely my take. I mean, considering conservatives are the ones that hired underneath the bathroom.
We need to start a business idea right now. It's called the Manet. All right, it's the bidet for men. It only comes in like coal black and steel gray. Like we get ammo patterns of the Badood. There you go, the Badood. All right, we'll fucking and it's like it's certified for like we'll call it like we'll have an edition that's tactical edition, right? Yep. And then hopefully we can get dudes to wash their fucking asses.
My ass is clean because my Badood squirted all over it.
You got it.
Hell
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, this is the first time Charlie's been on my channel, and now she kind of understands. Maybe it should be the last.
It'll probably the last.
I get it.
No, fuck that. She's been on fucking CuteBot panels, and that's just nothing but Gen Z autistically scream. It's just like, ah! And they're like, that's a good argument. The whole chat is like, he made a good point there.
I mean,
he's really hot, so I mean,
he did make it. I feel like that's a good full argument style. You know, if they don't get a word in edgewise, you win the debate.
Okay. Okay. Gibbs, please. We can hear you breathing every time.
I want you to.
Like I'm actually beginning to get concerned for your health at this point. Like it's like brother.
I don't think we need to be concerned. Did you see his little jade roller?
Yeah, we're ready. I'm over
That's
it.
high-tech skincare.
Is that what he was doing? I didn't know what he was.
Yeah, we got to rub out the eye bags. You know what I'm talking about? Come on.
God.
How does that work? My mom gave me one, but I don't know how to use it. I feel like it's just nice because it's cold in the summer.
Yeah, it works better when it's cold. I didn't freeze this one, but I had the bags, and if you rub the little small side hard, it knocks them out. They go away.
Oh.
It's pretty wonderful.
Very nice.
Okay. All right. So thanks all for being here. Unfortunately, we're here for some terrible reasons.
Somebody is typing very loudly.
Apologies, that is me. I was making a Discord announcement to
okay, well you are a very aggressive typer. Like I can it's not just the click clack of the keyboard. I can hear you pushing the key all the way down to the bottom, and then there's still more pressure. Like you need to relax.
I'm stressed. Hold on, let me mute while I type.
Okay. Oh, all right. We're getting it together here. All right. It's slowly but surely. It's all right. Any which way. So hello anyone out there who might be with us. Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. Unfortunately, this collection of individuals are here for a really bad reason. Our good friend, my good friend, iCal Rich, has passed away. You've seen him here on this channel many times. He's the old dude with the beard, the epic beard. But my good friend is gone. As far as I know, the reason why is that he had a heart attack, and though he made it to a medical facility, they weren't able to fully revive him until he passed away. He passed away sometime, I believe, early last week. I'm a little unsure on the timeline, but my friend is gone. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss him a lot. And I thought, and I know that my friend Rich had a big impact on this community. A lot of people loved him. A lot of people, had great experiences, great memories. So I thought we'd do two things here. One, we'd have a little bit of memoriam for our friend, where we'd all, talk about our time together with him, our memories, what we liked about him, anything, just like get it off our chest. And then two, I thought we would do a religious debate. iCal Rich was always pushing me to do more religious debates. Him and I would argue about religion all the time, like personally, but he wanted me to do more on panel. I wish I obliged him more. But so in any case, for him, I thought I'd set something up, and do what he loved doing, debating, because he was a debate coach, and actually a really good one. Won a bunch of championships. His students did. So he was successful in that part of his life, and he took his work home with him and came on stream and debated with us all the time. Well, despite the craziness that happens on this freaking channel. But he enjoyed his time. He made sure I knew he enjoyed his time here. I'm deeply appreciative of that. RIP, my friend iCal Rich. I'm going to go to each and every one of you, and you can just say what you want to say, right? I don't know why that happened. Okay, I didn't. Okay, what's happening here? Okay. Oh no, it's a freaking. There's a new. Oh my god, there's a new feature here. 1 second.
Oh, to
There's
like
a new
flash
feature.
the banner.
Yeah, no, it's like a timer on the banner. It's a new feature. Okay, thank you. It's new. Anyway, yeah. I'm gonna go to each of you, and you all can just say what's on your mind. And we'll go from there. All right, we'll keep it loose. Starting with my other good friend, Lactoid.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Aiko. I think most of us here have been on a ton of panels with him. I've been on dozens, I'm sure, if not more. And yeah, we disagreed a lot. He always did so respectfully and tactfully, and we always, got to the point and addressed it. And we also had a lot of, he would DM me every week or so, every couple weeks, with either questions like regarding like legal questions, because he did a lot of debate coaching regarding legal stuff, and so he would reach out to me on that, or just he would send me some clip or some article as to the most recent crazy thing Trump did, and say, hey, do you still like when's enough? Do you still support him? That came every couple weeks as well, because Trump makes it easy to throw in something every couple of weeks, and I'd always respond no, and here's why.
Every couple days.
Yeah, no, here's why, and then it'd be a kind of a longer back and forth. I mean, there's really not. I think I think he was a good guy. I liked him. I think that the mark of a good person is when you vehemently disagree with somebody that you like them, and I think that he was an easy person to like. And it's very often, I think, pretty easy just on these online personas that we talk about, just to really not see each other as people. But every once in a while, the universe sort of reminds you, oh yeah, this is a human being, and it sucks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our friend Scott, please.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a heartless piece of shit, so I don't know that I can like top the anything you said there, Lactoid. I don't want to be performative in any way. I knew iCal. I liked iCal. I thought it was a good combatant. There's not too many people that I would say that I vehemently disagree with their entire worldview and philosophy, and consider them to be an enemy of liberty and an enemy of freedom and an enemy of all that is good in the world, and still think, yeah, he's a good person, like with a good heart. I think he had a fucked up worldview and philosophy, but his heart was in the right place. I mean, he worked with, he didn't just work with kids in some means by which because he had to, or because it was like a job that he became jaded in, right? Like that was a job that he was passionate about until the day he died, that he valued, because he valued bringing on the next generation of kids and, engaging in critical thought. He always had a certain level of expertise or world experience that brought additional context to conversations that were beyond the bullet points, beyond the the tribalistic thinking of like, these are the three things my side says about this. But he's like, in 1417, ecumatorial documentation from the Vatican shows, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Even if I think what you're about to say after this is dog shit wrong, I love that you brought in this context. So, rip to one of the good ones, rip to somebody that actually had their heart in the right place. But I'm also not going to sugarcoat how I feel about statism or how I feel about, his political or moral philosophy. Like, I think it was wrong. I think it was bad. But I don't think the world is a better place because he's fucking gone. I think the world's a worse place because of it.
Same here. Quick super chat from our friend FQ. Bless you all. Heartwarming that so many are here for iCal Rich. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Thank you so much for the kindness, and yeah, thanks so much for being a supporter. I know FQ was also quite sad about Rich's passing. Let's go to our good friend Corey.
Yeah, this is tough. Rich was that rare combination of wit and wisdom, at least in my opinion. And of course, he was truly one of a kind, because those qualities were combined with a magnificent beard. My heart sank when I was informed of his passing. I never met him in person, but I did have many hours of conversation with him. And so this feels like losing a close friend. In his absence, There will be a deep void in the Twitch space. So I can only imagine how deep that void will be to his students and the people that knew him and cared for him in person. I'm not a religious person at all, but events like this make a small part of me want to be religious, because when I think of the people who I think deserve and I would want to be in a heavenly afterlife, Rich is absolutely one of them. I will miss his wit and I'll miss his wisdom.
Absolutely. I'm right with you. I'm right there with you, friend. Next is someone we haven't had here for quite a while. Our friend Ty, from way back in the day. Ty, and I understand that you were quite close to Rich. You even actually had the deep pleasure, which I'm jealous of meeting him. So yeah, tell us how you feel.
I'm still working on that one, and not to overly go into the details, but this is my 4th death since June that I've had to deal with on a personal level, and I'm just completely overwhelmed. On certain levels, I didn't have the relationship with Rich that I kind of wanted to. Like, I didn't know his like deepest trauma that he wakes up with to deal with every day. We didn't have that relationship, but we definitely had the relationship where, you know, we talked a lot, and he was not only in just this community, but the Twitch sphere alone. I would talk to him in Lethe's community or even other communities. I can't tell you how many hours this guy spent just talking to people, even when the camera was off, which I loved him about that. But moreover is I had a tremendous amount of respect for him, and it really just came down to the fact that like I had to be on my A game to not come off as the fool whenever you deal with Rich, because he is firing on all cylinders, and let's be real, he practices this, like he teaches people to debate. So it was fun, it was challenging, it was also wanted to pull my hair out so many times because it's just like I'm getting dunked on, but I still have a point that I actually want to make, and I feel like I don't make it sometimes. No, I will miss him terribly. I'm sad that I missed this year's meetup because my finances weren't good. I thought I'd have plenty more options to, you know, see him again, and then he's just, you know, he checks out. Just for the details, Wednesday I think it was the 19th. Yeah, Wednesday the 19th, he had the heart attack. His sister pulled him off life support the day after because they basically figured out he was brain dead. I'm sorry to say that. And then he finally passed last Friday is the information that I have. I will terribly miss him, but damn it. Anyway, you, Prime.
Thank you for filling that in. I didn't know exactly. I was just given a short bit blurb, but thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, Rich is great. My favorite thing about Rich is he was like a night person. I'm kind of a night person. So like, I feel like many of these marathons I've been doing, you know, he would be there until the wee hours of the morning. You'd be talking to him, or like someone else just said they'd be off stream. You know, you just talk to him about random stuff. I was talking to Charlie, I think, yesterday, and I mentioned, he called me while I was out, at Wurstfest, which is like a big German festival, and I'm like hammered. And, surprise. And so he calls me and he's asking me questions about like wrestling and like MMA stuff for like a class. And like, so he literally has me up and I'm like drunkish off my ass mind. You're sitting here having to have like a deep combo with him and his students about like what the rules are going to be in these certain weird situations, like in this for debate. And that's just like his willingness to engage in anything to get the job done is probably what made him a state championship caliber coach. And whether it's dealing with my drunk ass or dealing with all our multiple different personalities and BPD all here online, he was very good at all that. And I'm gonna miss him, and I'm gonna miss like talking to him. And someone mentioned that there's gonna be a hole in Twitch. Yeah, I definitely feel like he kind of trends into these boundaries because you'd be talking debate 1 minute and then later you'd be talking Marvel or Star Wars or some other kind of interesting thing and doing the deep lore dive, and it's just gonna be a good loss without him, and I'm gonna miss him, and I think that's all I got here. So R.I.P. my friend.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Jebtan. We've had here a few times in the past. I'm glad that they could join us here today.
Yeah, kind of like Tiberius. This weekend has had more than just this loss for me, so I'm having to make a conscious decision to celebrate rather than mourn, But one of the things I think to celebrate about iCal that's going to be sorely missed is in a space full of people who debate for the sake of getting better at debate. you would think the debate coach would be on board with that, but he was one of the few people who was very clear that his goal in teaching debate and in participating in it was to actually take part in conversations that helped you dig down to fundamental truths. He wasn't the kind of debate coach or debate advisor when you asked him about conversations that would tell you how to get a rhetorical W in very many cases. You know, he was the type who was like, well, they're wrong on this, so maybe push them on that, maybe bring up this data point or whatever. For him, it was always about trying to actually get to right answers. And I think that's what made it so easy, as people who disagree with him in any number of, arenas, to, talk with him and be close with him. I'm not going to act like we had, this super tight buddy friendship, but it was very similar to what Lactoid described, where there are definitely a couple of topics I really only talked to Rich about. Just pet things that you could only talk to him about because he just truly gave a fuck about anything you could catch him talking about. Like, there was not a panel that he took for fun. It was always about like trying to find good answers, and help other people along the way. I didn't know the extent of his coaching stuff until I looked more into it, after seeing his in memoriam, but it makes total sense that he was the kind of guy to give back like that and to try to carry that attitude forward. That's really special. And yeah, I mean, if I seem a little blank and bland right now, that's kind of how I get when I'm still processing stuff, but it hit me harder than I think knowing, anybody I knew in the Twitch space passing would. I didn't think I'd give a fuck if any of you losers died. No offense. I love you all, but I'm kidding. I'll be sad when all of you die, but probably not as sad as this one. It's tough because as far as the overall mission that I think was unique, I just don't know many people who are going to carry that torch. I don't know many people who are going to be able to put the goal of winning the debate down as well as he could, in an effort to like actually find truth. And people like that are the people that I think, I've been able to build actual friendships with. Like Charlie and I don't agree on fucking shit, but she's a very similar person to that. And I think that's why randomly this was one that hit us both pretty hard, was because seeing someone with that same vision for conversation and debate is rare. So
thanks so much. Enemy Charlie, who we haven't had on this program before, but we're very, very happy to have him here today. Please.
I mean, like Jeb, I didn't think that this would hit me this hard. I've only known Rich for a little bit under a year, but he's someone that I really, really, really have looked up to and admired. Because I mean, he's a teacher through and through. If I had a question about anything, he had an answer. And he was always willing to indulge even my stupidest questions. I mean, like, one time he went through like a 4-hour debate that I did because I was stressed about not doing well. And he sat there patiently and talked me through it and told me what I could, do better. And he didn't do that for any reason other than the fact that he is just willing to help people who need help, and he's kind. And I just feel like this is such a, it's just a horrible loss, because he's a rare person in the sense that he is someone who, practices what he preaches and approaches the world with like love and kindness and grace in his heart. And I'm going to miss him terribly. And I'm going to miss him a lot.
Thanks so much. Our friend Bam, I'm glad to have you here. We're just expressing how we feel, our our emotions, or shock, or whatever's on your chest.
Absolutely. I don't think I had the most in-depth relationship with Echo Rich. I won't pretend to in this moment, but I will say that every interaction I ever had with him, he seemed like a man of integrity. He seemed a little bit kinder than the rest of us. Kind of strange in this season. Like if you had to imagine what a nerdy version of Santa Claus looked like, he would be pretty spot on. He didn't seem easy to anger, and no, I don't think anyone would guess from having a conversation with him that he was one of the few regular watchers of ABE each week, which is just a group of young black people calling each other the N-word over and over again. And Aiko tuned in, and he wanted to be a part of the conversations, and he wanted to know what was going on. He always asked great questions, and he always seemed that when he spoke to people, he seemed like he was actually looking for a space of understanding. He made disagreements where they what it seemed principled, and yeah, there's a lot of people I have a lot of negative things to say about. I can't find a single one about the man. Like honestly,
Yeah,
he's one of the best of us.
To expand on some of the things that have been said. First of all, I did have the pleasure of knowing him for years. He found this channel, I guess, like maybe near the tail end of the pandemic era, I guess. Yeah, he just like jumped right in. He's like, I want to be a part of this. I'm a debate coach. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I don't know why you want to be here, but like, thanks for coming through. I did not expect what I got, which was like literally a gentleman and a scholar. He like, and this is something I let him know that like annoyed the hell out of me, is that even when I was like sure he was wrong, I'm firing on all cylinders, right? Like, and going at it with him, right? Like, and like you're absolutely wrong. And he was a goddamn liberal, like screw that. And I'm a leftist, right? So we had friction there. Even though when I was sure he was wrong, he still like schooled me. Like every time I walked away, like knowing more. And I came in, and it's really annoying. Your enemy, right? Constantly is able to do that. Constantly is able to like educate you and calmly let you know, okay, well, here's like a chunk of obscure history that you aren't aware of, right? That really puts all this into like a greater context. You should really consider that prime. Like, oh yeah, well, thank you, but no, screw you, and you're wrong. And those were a lot of our interactions.
Prime and I are the only ones brave enough to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. No, he wouldn't like it if I pretended otherwise. In fact, that's what he loved about like this community, my community, and then others, right, who have similar spaces, is that he liked the exchange of ideas and he liked the contention, right? He wanted to find people he disagreed with and have really fun conversations with them. He was exactly my people. He was exactly my people. He was interested in pretty much everything I was interested in, right? He liked the anime, he liked comic books like Star Trek, right? We would talk about that all the time, right? We would relate things even on panel, right? You saw it. If you are a regular viewer here, you saw how we would like make references to Star Trek and then have to explain it to the rest of the panel because they had no clue what the hell we were talking about. But like it was just like a fun part of him. And one last thing, yes, he was a night person. And I remember like I did a few video game streams on YouTube for like the real OGs, right? If you guys remember those. But like I remember the big thing I did was like a playthrough of Elden Ring, and like I invited people on. I did invite people on, right? But this man, like watching me game, he would like freaking a FromSoft game, right? Me fighting for my digital life there, asking me like the deepest and most complex questions when I did not have the brain capacity to do that. I just like, oh my God, I'm trying to answer you. I swear, right? I will tell you on my perspective on like my id, right? In a moment, and my super ego. I'll give you all my deepest thoughts. But like, oh my, you see what's happening right now. Any which way, it didn't matter. He wanted to talk. He wanted to have fun. And I left my friend for it. Yeah. I have one other person here. I've overstepped this panel. I wanted as much people here as possible for Memorial.
Dude,
But
you gotta get rid of this fucking banner, dude. It's like half the fucking screen. With all these people.
We'll work on it. But Ali, thank you for joining us. We were just like expressing our feelings, our initial feelings. Tell us what you have to say.
But the icon was one of my favorite people when I'd see him on a panel because I knew he was always going to come in at least be the best faith. But then behind the scenes, he would always message me the most random discussions. Sometimes it'd be about religion, sometimes it'd be about like the views of the people of Dearborn, like the ethnic views or the religious views of the people of the like state or what's going on. I don't know. This was a shock. I mean, I didn't necessarily. Obviously, he was older, but you just don't expect, to get the message that hey, someone passed away, and that has me a little shook. I'm not gonna lie, hit me in the core. Like I'm gonna miss getting random messages from him, having the discussions with him.
Yeah, I think he did that to pretty much everyone.
Bro, the crazy thing I didn't even realize until we were talking about him, and I was just sort of looking at our DM history, and I scrolled all the way to the top to see like when we first started talking, was iCow and I weren't even friends on Discord. So this dude was finding a Discord I was in or typing my fucking name and messaging me shit about like electric cars. Like the dude, like he just like you had a conversation with him and he remembered every word. Like he knew exactly who he needed to get his get backs on in the DMs, and he would find you. Like that was funny to me where I was like, oh, I wasn't even friends with him on Discord, but then I was like, wait, that means every time that I got these fucking random messages from iCow, this dude sought me out. It wasn't just, oh, Jeb's online, I better fucking remind him how great electric cars are. It was, I'm going to find Jeb wherever he fucking is, and I'm going to tell him
know my thoughts.
how great these new battery plants in Texas are.
Yeah. So tell us like what are the, favorite moments of like debate, like like there are arguments that you enjoyed having, or maybe even ones that you wish to have but won't get the opportunity to do so.
I mean, I think debate wise, I think I only moderated debates that Rich was on, but I think when I did moderate the couple of debates that he was on, I'm gonna miss just how calm and nice he was. People would be screaming and he would always just, the calmest voice in the world would cut in, and that would be him. And he knew something about everything. Those kind of encyclopedia people, those are not common.
Oh, he literally had encyclopedias. I think like
he was a debate coach too. He was a debate coach too. So it's just like
he sent me pictures.
He didn't have the digital CD-ROM of the.
No, he invested in like the old school books,
the real hard copy.
Yeah,
he was proud of it. He invested in it.
Yeah, we had a whole like little convo about that on here one day. We were like comparing our encyclopedia collections. I feel like that was a whole thing.
There you go. Sorry,
I didn't get to
you
call
can make
him
a smaller border,
and I can no longer call him a cuckalick to his face anymore, and that sucks.
Like CNN.
Like I don't get to shit on his religious worldview anymore.
No.
And that blows.
Listen, if we're talking about the getbacks we were waiting for, I was all on him about fucking Blue Crude is coming. These electric cars ain't shit. And it is finally fucking coming, okay? And F1 next year is all going to be Blue Crude fuel, sustainable e-fuels you can put in any old fucking Toyota. And I'm never going to be able to dunk on him with that. But I made a post about it. And that was one of the things I said was like, I don't know who the fuck I'm going to talk to about this shit anymore. So you might still get some links. Like iCow Rich's Discord, whoever has the login to it is going to be getting a link when the Blue Crude hits the market. Okay, when you start seeing that shit in tanks down the street, just know iCow Rich's Discord account got a link from me about it.
It was religious discussions for me. He was the first person that like explained to me why Christians aren't actually Jewish if they're actually meant to follow in the path of Jesus and so on and so forth. So it's like to Charlie's point, the depth of knowledge that he has on just like any given topic. It's nice that he just kind of taps in and just has those conversations with you.
That motherfucker
Yeah.
would bring up so many details about the Reagan administration that would
Yeah.
you'd be like, and under the Reagan administration, I'd be like, none of us are old enough to remember that, iCal, right? It's not fucking relevant. And he's like, no, it's relevant. Let me explain how this is just like when I was protesting in 1970. It's like, all right, dude, fucking all right.
Fabian's already, he was all that Spider-Man meme of, I already thought Reagan was a bitch. You don't have to tell. You don't have to tell.
Right, it's like I already hate him, all right, for completely different reasons than you, all right. But like, all right, let's hear about some fucking bill nobody remembers from the Reagan administration. All right, okay, it's kind of fucking relevant. All right, whatever.
He was a very good. I'm agnostic, but I was raised Christian, and it was not pleasant. But he was a very good ambassador for Christianity. Like, I've since knowing.
That's probably because he was just a lefty.
Well, but he's nice.
You probably just liked what he said because it was agreeing.
He's not even like a lefty. He was
but
like
he didn't agree with me on like he told me himself that personally he's against abortion, and that's something that's very I have a lot of opinions on. But the fact of the matter is that he, again, I just feel like lived.
He's honest.
He's honest, and he's also approaches everything with the desire to understand, a desire to communicate, and also with love and a lack of judgment. So, I mean, as far as my experience with Christians, he was probably the best of them.
I think it's because 90% of white people are bad at being Christians.
Well, he actually lived his values.
I am.
What percentage of black people are bad at being Christians?
Oh, anyway, excellent at being Christians.
No, I
don't know.
Our church
FBI statistics
the
don't
worship
seem to
music
agree.
is really good.
Great worship. Black people got Christianity down.
Bam is kind of right about this, though. I definitely. So I don't practice a lot of my Christianity, but I grew up extremely religious, like have quite a religious background, right? And like I'd be able to sit here and have like deep theological debates with him, right? And then it'd be like, and then, well, what are you personally thinking? But yeah, but you don't live this way. Why? And then you talk, like, you'd be able to go into the depth and like the nitty gritty, and then you would like have his like actual like the canon law to go with why he believed it, as opposed to when Bam says people are bad at being Christian. Like, these people go on like mass, don't ever read their Bible, or they show up like only at Christmas or Easter. Yeah, my daddy was Christian, so I'm Christian. And like 90% of these people are like, Christian name only kind of thing. And it was like very refreshing to be able to like have the deep combos with somebody that was like actually could defend why they believe what they believe, like within the religion. I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Well, it wasn't even a capability.
You're a
thing.
minister, Gibbs, so you know what it's like to have good.
That's true.
He's an online minister, in case you didn't know.
Yeah. I am. Anybody needs to get married.
I did that for a joke too.
The thing about it was like he had all the tools to be a fucking dickhead and like win conversations by trying to win conversations, and he just did not give a fuck to do that. Like he genuinely was like one of the most like, I'm gonna argue from the heart type people, and I'm gonna take a second and say my ums and hums to think about what I'm gonna say before I say it. He was not afraid of getting cut off because he couldn't formulate things. He didn't have any quick hits that he prepared before debates. It was always like you were getting 100% Rich whenever you heard him respond to anything you said.
For the love of the game.
Yeah. And it wasn't even a game. It was like he actually genuinely cared about the outcome of each conversation. And in times when I felt fucking stupid for doing that, like having a dude like that around all the time in these spaces, like almost everywhere I go in Twitch, he was there, was very cool. And I don't think there's anyone that's going to replace that. And so we're just going to have to remember him when we're wondering if it's even fucking worth trying to have honest conversations in this space anymore.
That's so real.
That's a really good point.
I'm just going to keep trying to win because I'm right.
Never change, Fabian. Never change.
Look, man, I'm an asshole, but I'm an honest one, all right?
Hey, amen, brother. I can respect that.
So something that...
doesn't mean I didn't like Rich. I liked him. All right? I'm just going to put that out there. I did. Say it.
Something we're all touching on. And oh my God, Gibbs, please with the breathing. Please.
I'm
It's
muted.
rough,
Stop
man.
breathing.
You
I'm
might
muted. Hold on.
genuinely need to
Hold on.
go to
What's
the doctor.
crazy? What's
You were not
crazy is
muted.
I was muted, and then like this
Please
time I did it on
remember
purpose.
me.
And it's been y'all been keep saying it because I wonder, but there's somebody else with a crazy ass thing that's going on here. All right.
Is
it's
it
not
me?
just
I know that my
No,
mic
it's
is.
wild.
You are also breathing, correct?
I hope so.
If you could cut that out, please. The
Okay,
breathing
all
thing.
right.
If we could just
Oh my
stop
god.
that.
Okay. All right. So we'll see. All right. Anyway, something that we're all like touching on, but like not explicitly jumping into, is the fact that our friend was a Catholic. And
I mentioned it several times.
yeah. Hold on. A second. Hold on. Okay.
Right.
All right, Scott. You don't have to win here. Okay, Scott. I don't know why you feel
Always,
like
I will
right
win.
moment,
I will win.
You have to win.
I will win the competition of who is right on this in memoriam. All right.
Okay. All right. So Ren was Catholic. And
I'm just trying to laugh, man. I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm not trying to be a dick.
it's cool. It's cool thing. And he enjoyed these back and forths. I think he really enjoyed our back and forth, Scott. Right? I think he really enjoyed our like relation, watching us like go at it, because I think he just loved the argument, right? And who would say what, and like what will be like the next turn of phrase or debate tactic we would use. So yeah. But in any case, yeah. So he yes, Catholic. But like he really, it's not just he was like a Catholic, right? And he, like as our friend Gibbs was saying, understood Catholic doctrine. He like read the Bible. He could quote me passages. It was like, yeah, here's a prime in our debate. Here's what you don't understand, right? And not only could he quote me passages, he quoted me the history behind the passages, right? And so he like gave me a deeper understanding of Christianity. I grew up Christian, not Christian anymore, but he gave me a deeper understanding of what I was arguing against. Once again, educating me all the goddamn time, really fucking annoying. And expanded like my knowledge, and like he did shift my perspective on the whole thing. Like even if I still have my views, right? Like I am a better debater, like in the religious space, because of him. He also was a big fan of like Pope Watch, right? He like studied the popes and like what they got up to, and he like had he cared a lot about like their pronouncements and how it affect Catholic law, and then like how like their effect on the world at large. That was a big thing for Echo. So he would always like talk to me about it, and I'm like, does this really matter? He's just a pope, like whatever, right? But then he would explain to me how this is really a big deal, Prime. Like you don't understand it. I'll walk you through it, no problem, right? I will patiently walk you through why this matters. And hopefully it'll have like reverberations into the future, because we're excited about the current pope, like a lot. We had conversations about that. And he really wanted to see what Pope Leo would do, right? He wanted to see like how he would like shift the church. Like we had he was a big fan of like Vatican II way back in the past, and like he felt like a monumental shift was happening. And I know he was looking forward to seeing what that would look like. And yeah, I think it's something I'm more interested in, and I feel like I want to keep track of for him. I want to keep my eye on it, because he wanted me to. If he was here, he would force the knowledge on me any which way. So I think I'll do that. Yeah. So those were the debates that we didn't actually get to have. And again, I wanted to have more like religious conversations with my friend. But like in terms of not again, I know not all of you were able to spend time with them, but like and get to know them on a personal level. But if you did, like tell us about like those moments. Like what were the things that you had in common? What were like outside of debating strangers on the internet, right? Trying to prove you're right for internet points. Like what did you share with them? What drew you to them, if you had that privilege?
well, I can only speak for myself. So as mentioned, I had, as also I think Scott and others have brought up of, he would very often stay after stream and he would converse with you like off stream and all that stuff. And I had many hours of conversation with him, well, both after stream and off stream, sort of in private. And also one thing that I also enjoyed is like when he was on panel, or rather we were together on panels, like he would, as no surprise, let's say me and Rich would generally have be on the same side or have the same positions, and we would sort of like be having sort of a separate DM conversation back and forth in terms of like trying to bolster our points, or how he would even like although help me to respond to someone's argument instead of him making it himself. But one of the conversations, one of the many conversations that I had with him off stream that, let's say, I relate to him with, I don't want to share details of Rich's life that he doesn't want shared, but let's just say one thing that we had in common, let's just say he was taking care of a family member, and I would say, based off of the circumstances that I know that he shared with me, this was like a major responsibility for him. And I'm sort of in a somewhat similar situation with my grandmother. And like, he was not, at least as far as I know, he was not one to complain. But like, it was at least clear to me that just based off of his values, he felt like he had an obligation and he cared for this person. And he did everything in his power to care for this family member. And regardless of the burden, I know that he did his best to do that. And yeah, we had many hours of conversation around that in terms of the challenges of caring for a family member in that state. I empathize with that.
Thank you so much. Ty, I know you had some conversations.
Yeah, I had to dig through my Discord because I was just trying to remember, like, hey, how long have I actually known this guy? And I actually looked. It's been almost 3 years, or just over 3 years. It was August of 22. And he reached out to me. He's like, hey, people keep telling me that I need to talk to you about energy policy. I'm like, yeah, probably, something along that line. We've had a lot of conversations. I feel bad that I have not really talked to him a lot in like the last 3 months, but I've personally had to check out. Like, I've pretty much been retired from this gig. So thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. But like, I was kind of putting this behind me to some degree. And then Rich passing was something I wanted to circle around to, I wanted to circle around to be doing some of this stuff again at some point. But Rich passing is kind of really fucked with me on that regard. Cause like you all say it's love for the game. Like for him, it was a legitimate passion. It was something sacred. It was more than just something he enjoyed. It was something that he actually legitimately valued. And I don't think it was just because it paid his bills. I think it really came down to like, there was something innate to him that he just very much loved about this kind of thing. And I'm not always on board with that. Like that's been one of the struggles for me in dealing with this is that there's so many things I learned from, but like the ultimate lesson that I kind of wanted to, go through in life together with him with, now I have to do it by myself. That sucks.
Yeah, when I said it, I meant like for the love of the like he loved debate. He was a debate coach. He was a teacher, right? So I felt like him coming and having these discussions like not only helped him in like his like career in his life, but then it was like an outlet for him as well. Like he got to like in I'm going through the DMs now, and it was always something he was like teaching me, man. It was always some random shit, and just the respect that he had. Like I am Muslim, he's Catholic, and so like this understanding that I'm not necessarily like religious, like I'm not big religious, but like culturally, and the understanding like of like what Sharia is and how people don't understand all the bullshit that's happening, and it just always felt like a teaching moment when he was like messaging me with some random link and then going into depth. He knew too much, man. He knew a lot. Too much, bro.
The guy definitely racked up the XP for his particular level, right? Like he did not lack in that regard. If anything, I'm jealous of though, it's his patience. Like he let so many fools like get away with shit that I would just not suffer, and he just sit there and just fucking like take it, and he just wait you out. Like there's so many things to admire about this man. There really was.
It felt shocking the one time Rich asked me a question about something. It was Tolkien related. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean my two favorite Catholics aren't intimately, knowledgeable about each other? Like, what's
What
going
do you
on
not
here?
know, Rich?
Like, this is shocking. How do you not know something? But it was that experience was nice because I felt like I got to give back a bit because I annoyed the shit out of him. I know I did. No, probably not. I don't think he cared, but I would spam him with questions about like anything I had been talking about that I didn't feel 100% on. Which, thank God.
Yeah, he was a teacher through and through. I think is something you just keep hitting on. And that like he enjoyed sharing knowledge, like watching people grow. Again, like I said, like this guy is really like of my people. I look back just like you guys did, and my first message to him was June 26, 2022. He must have come, and I'm looking, it's 4 a.m. in the morning. So that was the end of an open panel that we were doing. He must have jumped on. I'm like, oh, this guy's great. And I'm like, hey, I would love to have you for Reverie. But he like, yeah, so I think he liked like watching people grow and like to struggle with new ideas, introducing that and seeing what they would do with it, right? Which is what I like to do. I like, I've told him this, and I told many people this, right? Like the people that I respect the most are those who show like the ability to think critically, right? To wrestle with ideas, like a new piece of information, watching them do that in their heads, and then spitting out something novel, even if it's not something I necessarily agree with, right? Like it doesn't matter if they're on the other side, if they're a conservative or even worse, a liberal. Like I want them to, I want to see them able to like transform something, like taking something and like integrate that into their worldview, right? Rather than like spitting out like talking points because that's all they have to offer, right? Those individuals I love, and I'm sure that Rich loved that too. He loved seeing that process. And so he just gave you like a bunch of information. It's like, okay, how are you going to handle this, right? And if I give you more context, and I did a bit of research while you were, blathering, and here's what I found, right? And like, how does this change your perspective? And like, I don't know if he like necessarily considered it teaching like the entire time. I'm curious. But like, I think it's just something he did. I think it was like an affect of him, right? I think that's just like a part of his personality rather
Absolutely.
than, okay, right? Yeah, putting my teaching hat on. Instead, it's like, hey, like uh, I like having these people around me like think of new and greater ideas, right? I like seeing their path forward. And so like I'm just going to keep throwing these little tidbits out. But also because he enjoyed it, right? Another thing that I was never a huge fan of, but my friend Rich was deeply a fan of, was Shakespeare. He was huge into it, huge into the history of Shakespeare, huge into the plays, right? He told me about like his story of like coming across Shakespeare and how it changed his life. He had a whole like radical change in perspective. Before he wasn't even a teacher, he was doing other things previously. And then he like stumbled upon teaching, and he realized like that's like what he wanted to do. And Shakespeare was like kind of like along that path, um, and like the process of like learning about the plays, learning the deeper meanings, right? Like just like in terms of like the Bible, I think he even linked this in one conversation that like just like in terms of within the Bible, there's like hidden meaning and text and history there that is lost on like the modern viewers. Same thing with Shakespeare, right? That like it's just like a whole list of like running like political and social commentary of the day, but we don't get so much of that. That's all lost to modern audiences. And he like letting you know, well, this is what that was about, right? This thing that you thought was like unimportant and kind of boring, right? Well, this is about like
He
like
was
this
deeply
political
moved by
scandal.
Taming of the Shrew. Exactly. We know.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
making me sad that there's more things that I could have discussed with him in depth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That-
He loved Shakespeare. Yeah. And he loved and he was also interested in like what you were interested in, right? So like if you had a passion, I think he'd be interested in engaging with it. And doing so in a good natured fashion. He he had a he had a girlfriend, and I know he enjoyed his time with her. I hope she's doing well, wherever she might be. And I can't imagine he wasn't the kindest person within that relationship. And in all his relationships, he seems like in all his capacities, right? As as a teacher, as a son, as a partner, right? Romantic partner. It seems to be that he was the same kind of guy, right? Like, one time, my friend Scott, he was talking about like how he, is is anxious about like dealing with streamers sometimes because oftentimes we put on an affect, right? And we are a different person, like behind the scenes. But with Rich, that never seemed to be the case, as far as I could see, right? And my view and like
It's the
talking to other
greatest
people about him.
grift in history, if it was. Yeah.
Yeah, then he was amazing.
I feel
at
kind
it.
of
It was a
bad
fake
'cause you
beard
guys
all
had-
along.
so many of you guys had like this father figure in him. It almost seems, but like with me, he was just always just questioning me and asking me. It was like purely intellectual. There was no like
Well,
advice or anything. I don't know.
To be
man.
fair,
it's because
he
I'm an
is
older man.
my
you know?
dad's age, so I think it was like hard not to see. a
Yeah, I
father
mean,
figure
I
in
don't
him.
know. I'm just, yeah,
Actually-
I feel a little jealous. You know, what I mean, maybe I just didn't need a daddy, which is such an insult to the rest of you. But I don't mean it like that. I'm just being honest.
A
You know
great
what I mean?
relationship with my
You know what I'm
father.
saying? Hey man, you know what I mean? Like you work through what you got to work through. Like mostly he would just ask me and be like, "What do you think about this theory from Camila Paglia?" And I'm like, "Oh, let's look into it." You know, like it was just purely maybe a bit of a standoffish or something. But he was always cool.
I will say we had a few messages. Like once you was talking about like looking through our own messages, I was like, I wonder if we ever DMs. And I looked, and it looks like we did have 4 DMs, and all 4 of them are literally like, hey, I saw someone making this claim on ABE. Like, here's some. Like, he didn't even give his opinion. He was like, here's just a chart I found. Here's something that might be interesting. Look at it. And I was like, you know what? That's crazy that he was tuned into half of these conversations. But
Yeah.
like I say, he didn't seem he wasn't even rah. Like it didn't seem like he was like, yeah, you were getting them. You're making these great points. It's just like, oh, here's another piece of information.
No, that fucker would DM me mid debate and be like, but did you even think about this? And I'm like, say it on the fucking panel, iCal. Like he would just he would try and subvert my arguments like via DMs. Like and I'd be like, dude, like say it on the panel. And he was like, no, you got it. It's fine.
Psychological warfare.
Like, yeah, so I'd have like 2 there are many times where I'm having 2 fucking debates because iCal Rich is in my DMs debating what I said while I'm on the panel debating because he'd rather just DM it because he didn't give a fuck about getting a dub, right? He was just like, oh, that's an interesting take. Let me analyze and subvert and fucking tell you some other thing about and I'd be like, dude, like I'm busy. but it was a sign that he actually gave a fuck. Like this was an interesting point you brought up. I want to analyze or critique this point you brought up, and I can't get a word in on this panel right now, so I'll just DM it to you, and you'll get to it whenever you get to it.
He doesn't care if anybody else ever sees it. Like it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was just, which was, I mean, that's cool. That's a point for him being a good guy. I'll give him that.
But like that's another thing, right? Like my criticism, I used to I let him know about this often, is that like, yes, he had like such great points, but like he was too meek on the panel, and the reason why, right? Meek is not the word I really want to use here, but like he's a different style
As
debater. Like,
as a devout Christian, he probably would have taken that as a
Yeah,
compliment.
no, I was gonna say meek in a biblical context is a compliment.
I think the word you're looking for is graceful.
Grace, sure, yes, but like, but he was also like an academic debate. I mean, that's what he was. That was his style of debating, right? And so like he wasn't like fucking animals like the rest of you people. So he would wait his turn. As we know, people who purely wait their turn here, well, they get run over by Scott because Scott needs to once again for the third time
because they're wrong.
Jump in. Oh yeah, okay. So so it would take him a long time to actually get a word in edgewise, right? And I'm like, I need more from you, friend. Or sometimes he would like it's not even he was trying to get in, but like he was just really appreciating the debate, right? He was sitting there. I think he was like coaching us. I swear. I think that's what he was doing in his head. And he would go into coach mode. That he would just like watch us, right? I would ask him.
My cat's fucking hungry. I'll be right back. I'm gonna feed her.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, great.
One last dub for Scott.
Yeah, this guy's hungry. Okay. All right. But I would ask him like about like the differences because like how I do debate on this channel is surely not academic, right? And so he's trained and he like teaches something quite differently, right? And I always like would joke on panel, right? It's like, you know, like watching him sit here while like the chaos is happening around him, thinking in his head like I'm better than this. Why am I with these children? Like why am I lowering myself to these people, right? But he was here the entire time. He was here for over 3 years. Right.
Well,
he really actually
it's
loved
interesting you
this.
say that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of convos with him about like that specific thing. I was like, and, you know, I know I've had him with Fabian as well about like how this is like infotainment versus like actual debate in a lot of ways, and like how like certain personalities and certain things do well as opposed to whatever, and like the strategy involved. And I think it's part of like his love of the game. It's like this is gonna be kind of a weird thing to say, but this feels like this is debate's golden era, right? And I'm kind of happy that he at least lived to see it, because like right now, like Piers Morgan's one of the biggest people in the world. He basically hosts this show, right? Like he hosted like what weekly, right? You know, you have like all these other people are right, and like people are going viral right now for debate. Like there are celebrities now that are debaters, and I think that it's like it's evolving thing to where it is the infotainment aspect along with the peer debate, and there's like room for both. And I think he enjoyed that, and he enjoyed the strategy aspect. And I definitely had many conversations with him about that. I think it's interesting you're kind of touching on that right now, Prime.
Yeah. So this was like a consistent theme with him, and he told me even like from the beginning, like when our huge like open panels that we would have, right? And for the people who are newer here, right? Open panels, we're just like when we just allow anyone in, right? We would just jump on Discord, jump in and have a conversation about whatever we were talking about. We'd go on for hours. And like I said, that was apparently looking back in our GMs, that's where I first met him. One of those open panels. He just jumped in and then was as impressive as he usually is. But he would say that like he wouldn't mind if his kids, like his students, right, watched like my channel. Like he would love it if they could, because of the I think he liked the way that we debated in real life, right? That's what I would always say, that like I like this better than academic debating, because this is how people argue in real life. I mean, they may not have necessarily a moderator there, but like, you know, there's a back and forth, and you got to be quick on your feet and be able to push back in the moment, right? Or you'll have regrets much later on. And he seemed to like agree with that. I mean, obviously he loved his style as well, but he thought like this was actually valuable. And apparently some of his kids did tune in every so often, but he didn't actually encourage that, because I mean, again, we're animals.
You don't want to get in trouble with parents when we're talking about right? I mean, ass wiping for 20 minutes.
We can't have children. We can't have children here. And so that was a bit of an issue. But other than that, he seemed to like these back and forths. Is why he jumped in to the
Can you just imagine
the Twitch space, YouTube space?
Can you just imagine one of these children tuning in and it's just Lactoid defending why he doesn't engage in cunnilingus?
You know what I mean? Like one ply toilet paper.
You know, it just
What do you mean? I
just
absolutely
no
love
just for like
Sandy.
an
no
hour
asshole.
straight,
It's my
just like
favorite
no,
thing.
it's on a tier of homosexuality
Oh
and
my
it's
God, bro.
submissive.
And it would be the best argument that you'd ever get, and they would know not to, descend to that level later in life. It should be required. Should be required.
I don't know.
Descend is
I usually
is
can trust you. You
aptly
have a
put.
You be eating box, boy.
Okay.
He doesn't
Oh
eat
my God,
pussy.
yeah.
He uses one-ply toilet paper. Ladies,
Yeah.
scoop him up.
But like this was it. Like
Maybe it's
lactoid.
just
I
cool.
mean, but and you know we all know how much I love and
Multiple
appreciate
layers of
Lactoid.
one ply, just to be clear.
I don't appreciate that part of him. But
That's
I appreciate
Why? Wait, hold on.
I know, that's
I don't know this
anti-
lore. What?
You can
That's
scrunch it easier.
anti-capitalist.
You can
Yeah,
scrunch
he's
it
a
easier.
scruncher, not a
Anti-capitalist.
folder.
I'm
So
a
he gets
scruncher, not a
multiple
folder.
sheets of
No,
one-ply
that's an,
toilet
an,
paper
that's
and
an
uses it.
anti-capitalist.
I don't fold it. I
Hey, does it
roll
have
it out
anything to
and
do
then I
with, like, the-
scrunch it.
It's the proof that he's
Lactoid.
extra
Does it
not
have
gay.
anything to do with
Nothing,
the
nothing,
four
nothing
packs being
nice
like
and
98
soft
cents?
around his asshole.
Of the
Only
one ply, is
sandpaper.
that have anything to do with that?
No, I buy it in bulk.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
I have
Lactoid,
I
that's-
listen.
that-
Listen.
hold
Maybe
on,
you're right,
hold
but
on.
I have a daughter, so like you can't fuck with the one ply with a daughter. Like you can't do that. That's
Which is
that's
why he's
cruel
still
and
single,
unusual
actually.
punishment.
It's the one-ply toilet paper that's probably why you're single.
Right.
Actually,
No.
one-ply
I'm
toilet
sure
paper,
that's
you
the
probably have
reason.
three.
That's-
you probably
that's-
have
yeah,
three-
that's-
you probably have
It's
three
one
in
of
one
those very
straw,
serious,
body wash, shampoo, and
toilet
conditioner,
paper.
right?
Benefit
You got the
you.
three in one, don't you?
I do need
Charlie?
to. I have a business phone call at 6:15.
Oh
So
my
I just
God.
want to say goodbye.
hoity-toity.
Um,
Oh wow. Okay.
I know. Okay, it's
Um,
not actually that. It's mostly just a friend calling me and saying, "Hey, do you want to do this thing for video?" But
Do you want to do business?
So
would you like to
yeah.
do business?
You want to do a business thing?
Those are all the
Yeah.
best business phone calls. Let's do business.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you, Prime, for inviting me to this, and thank you all. It's really weird to have to mourn a friend, an internet friend. It feels like we haven't really come up with good ways to do that. You know, it's not like we're going to be invited to the funeral. So this was really nice. So thank you all, and thank you, Prime, for organizing this.
I might just so you know, because like in that link I sent you all,
Mhm.
that memorial obituary link, it has a space there to send a message, and apparently his parents will get it. So I think I'll send this video to them. I'm gonna like timestamp it after the toilet
Bathroom
talk.
talk?
I'm gonna timestamp it right after. I'm gonna say timestamp to the relevant portion. Hopefully they'll look back. So hopefully they'll see, because I would love for them to see another part of their son. And so hopefully they'll get to experience that. I don't know. And I mean, Charlie, do you think we could have you back in the future for an actual debate? Like, not on toilet stuff. I promise you. Well, I don't promise.
Well,
you.
the
I can't
first
actually-
Now, yeah, I was gonna say, you don't know if you can keep that promise.
The first hour or two is fucking gonna
Debate.
be wild. It just
Yeah.
It
Sure,
might be
I
about
would-
lactoid not eating pussy, though. That's definitely a possibility.
We could talk about that. I think I would be well equipped to argue that point.
True,
but I-
Slicker. She's
I'm
well known.
the Snizzler. It's me. Insane.
Yo.
Rich, by the way, was very proud
It's
of
dominant
me for
when she does
that,
it, though, I
which
think.
is like
Yeah.
glad he got to see. He hated Andrew Wilson. I'm glad he got to see me get in one
Get him?
good swing
Yeah.
before that. So thank you all, Prime, and yes, I'd be
But-
happy
but yeah.
to come on. Just DM
Absolutely.
me whenever.
Okay,
All
I
right.
will.
Goodbye,
Have a great
everyone.
one. Thanks for being
Well,
here.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.
I got something for
Um,
you guys real quick.
Okay.
There is like an open remembrance service for him. It'll be Sunday. Basically it's in Frisco, Texas. If you guys think you can make it, hit me up. I'll get you an address. But yeah, it's at the place he worked. It was called Brain Masters.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is an open thing for that if you happen to, be in the Texas area.
I want to get this super chat in from our friend FQ, who says, Rich's love of Catholicism and depth of literary knowledge always humbled me. He tried to gather a group of people to read Dante's Inferno, even tried to find someone who could read an Italian translation. That absolutely sounds like Rich.
Yeah.
Like, freaking,
He talked
like
about
one,
it a
he
few
did,
times.
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, FQ, for the kind $10. But he did talk about one Dante's Inferno. He loved. I started to get into this too as well, right? Like again, like the actual biblical history, and then like contrast that with like
his
what
favorite
Dante's
thing
Inferno
was that
is.
all the old philosophers were burning in hell.
Yeah. But like he would contrast it because so much of our moral understanding of Christendom, right, like comes from Dante's Inferno, right? That's like
Yes,
it's like
Dante
gotten to the pop culture, yeah.
And Milton.
Yeah, and so he liked that. He loved like references to Dante's Inferno. I think I'd heard that he wanted to do something like that in terms of like having a group. I think I would have liked to do the read because I've never read Dante's Inferno myself, and so I think I would have enjoyed doing that with them. And maybe I should,
read.
Like a book
yeah,
club.
it's a heavy read, which is why he would have been really good to have there to guide us through, like Dante's guided through the afterlife. Okay, and it's fine. Don't worry. I don't need
No,
to
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay, all right. But in any case, I think feels like we were hitting a natural endpoint for this memorial portion. Again, to the audience, I want to do a religious debate right after this, in our friend Echo Rich's honor. So stick around for that. It's not over. But before I move on there, I'd love it if any of you, if you'd like to say anything else, right? I'll give you a one last moment. Well, we'll go around, right? Closing statements types, stuff, and then we'll go from there. So Lactoid, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much more to add than what I said at the beginning, which is that just make time to recognize that the person you're talking to is a human.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said most of what I had to say. I don't want to, like, I'm trying to be, bring some brevity, some levity, whatever, to the conversation. But my relationship with him was mostly academic and intellectual, not deep and emotional. And I don't want to lie and try and be performative and be like, oh, I miss him so much. But I mean, he was a good dude, and I think his influence in the space will be missed. And I think much like Lactoid said, we could all do with a little bit of humbling ourselves and recognizing that, like, people don't have ideas have people. And, like, the political ideology that people have can be evil, can be monstrous, can be destructive towards society and all that is good in the world. And yet those people can just be other fellow travelers trying to discover some level of truth and trying to arrive at a meaningful life like the rest of us.
Thank you. Corey?
Well, I can say that I will miss him for sure. And like, I'll probably be processing this for a while. It still feels kind of surreal to me. And like, yeah, and to Lactoid's point, it is a stark reminder that, despite all my interactions with him being virtual, he is a real person. And at the end of the day, he felt like a real person to me, because it definitely feels like that to me now. And as a testament to him being an educator through and through, I'm also, I guess, technically an educator as well. And every once in a while, I would totally solicit his opinion on a situation that I had with a student, and he'd always come back with, understandably, no surprise, a wise answer. Like, oh, that makes sense. And it totally, given his experience, he had pretty much all the answers that I questioned him with in dealing with all these tricky situations with students and the parents of students. And also further testament to him being an educator and teacher through and through of the limited Substack posts that I have on my Substack. Each time that I post one, I always sent it him to proofread, and he always proofread it, and it gave valuable and great feedback. And that's why he's pretty much should be an acknowledgement in all of my limited Substack posts. And that's something that I will miss as well. Just always his perspective and his willingness to teach and engage in good faith. And yeah, that's it for now.
Thanks so much. Ty?
Yeah, I got two things real quick. One short story, but the first thing is that I got to meet him in person. The guy had like full 6 inches over me, and he was just tall and scrawny. And then I hear he has a heart attack, and that just doesn't work in my brain processing at all. It's like this is the last guy that I expect a heart attack out, but that one's wild.
Tall
But,
people are at high risk.
I can see that. He's only 6'1" though, so Anyway, long story short, this is early of 24. We're all hanging out in Lethe's chat for a little bit, and we all got the bright idea to pass along a BDSM test. It was basically just like, hey, this is your kinks and shit, right? And Rich is there, he's on cam, he's just sitting there, he's kind of smiling, nodding. I thought he was just gonna be like, oh, these kids are just doing their thing, and we'll eventually pass it. And then all of a sudden in the side chat, we see Rich's results. Certified Dom, by the way. Fucking hilarious. But I thought I just would share that because it's just one of those things that really surprised me about him in the regards that not about the results, but moreover just the fact that he engaged with it. Like there's so many times I'm expecting him to be kind of uptight or upbeat or kind of a square, and then he just completely blow your doors off. I wanted to share that because I thought that's one of those little funny things that you all can treasure.
Be very careful with what timestamp you give his parents. Right.
I was just about to say, I'm going to send this to his parents.
Very Catholic parents who are older.
Yeah.
Just that 5-second clip. Certified Dom. That's it.
Certified Dom. That's all right. It was like, all right, well, okay. Sorry.
We'll edit that out in post.
Mrs. Ical. Okay. But thank you for that, Ty. And yeah, but that's true that like he would like engage with us, like in our nonsense, he would actively engage with us. He gives off the professorial aura, right? So you would think, well, of course not, right? Like, why would he be interested in this? No, he's fine, right? He's willing to have fun with us, and we didn't. I disagree with Scott. I didn't feel like he was my dad necessarily or father figure. I
said a lot. I didn't say all of it, but yeah,
fair. But like I don't know, he was just like a good.
Notice that he didn't deny it until we found out he was a certified Dom. He had to be like, he wasn't my daddy.
Okay, whatever. He was like an older friend, like an older brother type, right? More than a father figure to me, but a cherished person nonetheless. Gibbs.
Yeah. So, well, I guess on the opposite side of things, I was going to go with the route of religious education to Prime route and explain why Prime's joke didn't work in regards to Dante, because we, the chat, would be Dante, and he would be wise Virgil, the man who guides Dante through the Inferno. This is a reason why we all should read the Divine Comedy, which includes the Inferno as one portion of it. And I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Yeah,
I said Dante was guided, just like Dante was guided.
Yeah, but
right?
I had the Virgil thing, so we're educating, we're learning.
Okay, all right.
Someone has not read Dante's Inferno.
Clearly, someone hasn't read it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Doesn't everybody read that in high school? Like,
I don't know.
Something
not important.
Everyone reads
not
in high school.
It wasn't a dunk. I got it right correctly.
Huge dunk. Frankly, the biggest dunk. But no, yeah, thank you. It was good. We enjoyed all the religious conversations. I enjoyed them quite a bit, and I'm gonna miss them. And I'm gonna miss being able to just talk about the developing of the debate world as we go forward. That was probably one of the more regular things we talked about. And I'm definitely going to miss his analysis of that going forward, and him as a person overall, because he was a good person, I think, and it was good times with him around, and it's going to be a hard gap to fill without him around.
Thank you. Jeb?
Yeah, I think I said everything about iCal specifically that I think I had. But yeah, I guess I would say to people in the audience who are watching, remember when you're loving your people that love is a verb. And sometimes that means reaching out and doing things and meeting up and talking. So when you're loving your people, remember that. And as far as what Tiberius was saying, where he's tall and scrawny, I would have never thought. That's a lot of you motherfuckers. So get moving, eat better, eat some fruit, move your legs, get around walking, get exercising, do what you got to do. Because, yeah, man, you don't want people to be feeling like this because you didn't decide to go take a walk every day or you didn't decide to eat some fruit with your Taco Bell. So, make your daily changes, love your people, and make the most out of the time you got because it is not infinite.
I don't know if adding fruit to Taco Bell like decreases.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I wasn't gonna say it.
Listen, it is better. It is better than not adding fruit.
Two chalupas, one tomato.
There's a
Balances out.
golden rule. There's a golden rule in nutrition, which is good, better, best, right? And
Yep.
so, if you're eating Taco Bell and you add some fruit, maybe you eat some less Taco Bell, eat some more fruit, your life improves, and then you can make better decisions after that, right? Good, better, best is like a golden
Get your
rule.
fiber in and get moving, guys. Because
if you eat a bunch of processed, fucked up foods and high carb diet, then you need fiber. But if you don't eat that kind of diet, you actually don't need that much fiber.
All right. Once again, great. Circling back to the first topic here. Let's go to our friend Bam. Any last words there?
No, I won't add any more. He was an honorable man who seemed to live his life in a way that people have things that they can take from it, and he was good for the space. Shout out to Iko.
And Ali?
Yeah, it was just he was just like if you were friends with your teacher after you graduated high school. That's exactly what it was like. It was that. And I'm just gonna miss the random messages and having him around. Dude was smart. He was a good guy, honest. So, rest in peace.
I'll say one last thing then. So jumping off what our friend Lactoid said previously about, reminding everyone that, the people here are human, right? In the screen, your panel mates, even Scott. So like something that I do, and I know it annoys quite a few people that I do it, but I do consistently, is I let the people around me know exactly how I feel, right? The people that I care about, the people I interact with, I let you guys know that I really care about you all. And I go down, right? Like it'll be the end of the night. I'll go down to each individual person here. I'll say like, hey, you're great. You're my good friend. And this is something good that you did on panel. If you manage that, you don't always do that. That's okay. Even if you're disagreeing with me or whatever. But like, I do this, outside of this space as well, for the people around me, because you never know when this time will be the last time. And so while I, unlike Rich, like I'm not like the type to just like talk to people off screen, like off panel, like a lot. Like I don't. I'm just chilling, right? That's not really me. I did talk to Rich sometimes, like off camera as well. We did have long, fun conversations that I'll always cherish. But I didn't do it as much, and I wish I did more of it. However, one thing I can be secure in is that he knew how I felt about him. He was a good friend, a person that I admired. A person that I deeply admired. And I cherished him. I cherished his knowledge. I cherished everything he brought to the table. I liked how he enriched my life, and I hope, and I think I did, right, with our conversations, that I did the same to him as well. So I would encourage the rest of you, dovetailing on what Lactoid said, I would encourage the rest of you to consider doing something similar, right? All these people you have in life, even the ones you disagree, but still they're like in your circle. You care about them one way or the other, right? I'll let them know. You don't have to do it as often as I do. I do it a lot. But it might be good to do that.
That's always good to shout out. It feels nice when someone's like, "Hey, I watched this. You did good," or you should, even if they hit you with a little bit of like, "Hey, you should have did this." It's nice to get the encouragement, the criticism.
Yeah. Okay. We are going to transition to the debate that I planned. Again, this is for Iko Rich. And so he liked religious debate, so we're going to do that and go from there. So 1 second. All right, let's make this on. Yeah, okay. Okay. So topic. If I have it in front of me, great. In Canada, Quebec has put limits on public prayer, has placed restrictions on citizens' ability to receive governmental services while wearing religious symbols, such as face coverings. This follows other similar laws in the province that aim to strengthen its secular values. Contrast this with the US and its very open embrace of religion, or at the very least one kind. The US Congress has prayers to open sessions delivered by an official chaplain. US presidents are sworn in after a religious invocation. And all manner of US politicians participate in the National Prayer Breakfast. Is having religion in politics a strength or weakness? Do you support any limits on religion in the public square or by government officials? Is the expression of religion ever a hindrance that must be limited to have a smoothly running society? Who should be able to decide those limits? So yeah, I ran across a story. I was going to do something else previously, but then I got the news of our friend's passing, and I decided this would be better instead. So I was like looking for a religious topic, and I literally just typed a religion into like Google News, and this is the first thing that came up. So we our Canadian friends are limiting the people's ability to do like public prayer in certain areas. And this like it follows quite a few laws, right? It's not just in Quebec. There's some other laws. I found another article that expanded on this, and I think Newfoundland or something, of one of those fake states. And
Provinces.
we whatever.
It's a province that wants to secede. It's not even a real province.
Yeah, it's but in any case, yeah. So this is a trend that we're seeing, right? And it kind of reflects something we've seen in Europe as well, in terms of like having restrictions on like religious symbols. And there's a debate as to who is really actually targeted by these things, right? Are these things actually applied equally? That's another part of the debate. But what I really wanted to talk about is this idea of secularism. Our friend Rich really cared about this topic like a lot. He would compare like the French version of secularism, which is actually quite unique, and how they like deal with that and how they push back against religion. And so I want to know, like, especially for if you're an American, do you think we're heading in the right direction on religion? Would you like it to tone it down? Do you think we would be a more cohesive society if we had less displays of religion there within our public sphere, within our politicians actively displaying their Christianity, or maybe the opposite, right? So yeah, let's have fun with this. We'll start with our good friend Lactoid.
Hi, I'm Lactoid. You can find me on Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I think that the way U.S. does religion is great and dandy. I see no problem with people expressing their personal religious views. I think that the limitation is that the state shall not recognize the establishment of any one religion, shall not dictate to the people what religion they have to have. If citizens, whether they be private citizens acting within their private capacity, or even if they're employees of the government, I don't care if they want to wear a cross, if they want to wear a hijab, if they want to wear a yarmulke. That's also something that's banned here by this Quebec law. Jews can't wear yarmulkes. I think it goes too far, and I think what it really is, if we're being honest with ourselves, they really don't like the whole Muslim thing, and they can't just come out and say it and say like, yeah, we're going to ban the headscarves because Muslims suck. They can't just say that. So instead, what they're doing is like, well, we're gonna say it's all religions, okay? We're gonna and it just so happens to coincide exactly when this one religion is doing, some, wearing certain things that we think is scary or we don't like. So we're just gonna start applying it to all religions, including Christians, including Jews. The whole thing's dumb. I don't see why we need to do this. Also, the new law has a ban on people coming together in a park and praying, which is lunacy. I mean, this is this new edition is, I think, actually crossing over into some real authoritarianism, limiting peaceful assembly of people in a park for their own peaceful purpose. Crazy, actually crazy. I don't like this new law at all.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I will just kind of mirror everything Lactoid said. I agree with nothing that he said, though I disagree with. Moving further and into a broader conversation about it, I do think that there is, I'm kind of very 50-50 on Christianity, especially as a dominant religious force within politics. And the reason is I am against Christianity. I think Christianity leads towards socialism. I think Christianity promotes evil via the force of altruism and the concept of sacrifice. But the problem is that I think there is. I don't even think this is a controversial take. Maybe I'll get some pushback, but throughout sociology and psychology, it's pretty commonly accepted. Not necessarily why, but certainly that it is prescriptively true that human beings are either searching for some meaning, or that, from an older, from a Durkheimian perspective, like a functionalist perspective, or that there is, these institutions are, by their nature of existence, form some form of function, or that it's death anxiety, whatever it may be. Human beings crave a means of analysis of the world that often goes into the religious or the supernatural for those things that are unexplained. And so I guess what I mean at its most base level is that human beings need some form of philosophy that dictates all of the unknown questions that they have. And so one of my biggest problems with getting rid of Christianity is what replaces it in society. And secular humanism is leagues worse than Christianity is, right? There's no argument that it's just an awful thing to have liberals that are, that have this secularist, humanistic, purely based off of preference worldview. It has no grounding in philosophy. It doesn't even attempt to have grounding. It's just whim worship and pragmatism, which is deeply easily subverted by, socialist doctrine and things of that nature in a way that Christianity isn't. And so, yeah, this law is fucking terrible. It's obviously an attack against, the Muslim community, which in part has been, has always kind of been an issue with Quebec more so, not as per se the immigration has been an issue, but in terms of the culture of Quebec. But at the same time, I also, if you look at the history of Quebec, the Christian belief system there, the Quiet Revolution, where they just socialized all of the church, where the church was the dominant force, and then they just took over the schools, took over the hospitals, took over, nationalized all of the church property, and turned it into the socialist hellscape that it is, where people can't afford a fucking home because of these things, and people's lives are ruined every day because of the destruction of privatization. And so, yeah, I feel that there is a problem when there is Christianity within the state, and that when there are religious, any form of religious doctrine, especially when it tries to impose against other religious beliefs. At the same time, I think it's important that we notice that if we get rid of the Christianity for secular humanism, that what we're inviting is just a quicker path towards destruction, when in reality, what we should be doing is not getting rid of the religion in the state. We should be getting rid of the power of the state to impose whatever its beliefs are onto the people. And that's the only path forward away from us going down this spiral towards our own economic and destruction.
Thank you so much. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Yeah, well, I'll keep it brief because well, I'm actually mostly interested in what other people think on this topic. But like, yeah, this topic is right up my alley since it's literally local to me. I'm in Quebec. I'm in Montreal, Quebec. And so I experienced these laws. And I would say it's a little bit reductive, or let's say overly simplified to just think that it's a just anti-Muslim sentiment. Okay. But Scott hit on some of the, I would say, probably more relevant aspects in terms of the Quiet Revolution and sort of the history of Quebec or its relationship with religion, and sort of how religion has evolved over time here. But despite that, okay, I am an Anglophone in Quebec, and if anything, okay, the Quebecois hate someone like me, as in my French is elementary at best, and I grew up in pretty much a fully Anglophone wealthy neighborhood or wealthy Anglophone neighborhood, and so I technically have not assimilated into truly the Quebecois culture of Quebec. But all that to say is, well, am I in favor of this law? I think yes, it is a little bit too heavy-handed. But for me, if it's a choice between, how Quebec handles religion and how the United States handles religion, or you have this, from my perspective, and I could be wrong, of like this merging, or rather, like religion appears to be an actual part of your government, as brought up in the prompt in terms of the National Prayer Breakfast. And I'm pretty sure, Lacto would feel differently. I don't know for sure, but I suspect you feel differently, if let's say, for example, how he would feel if, like, all teachers in public school, they're all wearing the niqab. Is he in favor of that? I don't know. Maybe he is. But he might have different feelings if that was the case. But all that's not to say that that's the only thing that's motivating legislation like this. But let's say that is an element at play. And I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you so much. Ty?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to go about this because this conversation can go about 16 different ways pretty quickly. But I want to separate where I kind of see the delineation here. When it comes to the United States, I think this conversation actually appeals to it to at least a degree because Canada's supposed to be as secular as we are. We'll get into that later. Long story short, I don't like either side of this argument when it comes to the separation of church and state because I kind of hate both sides of it. I don't like the modern religious conservative because I think a lot of Christians are Pharisees Christians, as Jesus would call them. It's like, yeah, you guys call yourselves Christians, but you're not really. And I think that's a lot of the flock. And then when it comes to the secularists, I'm just kind of shocked and amazed at how many of them want to act like religious conservatives, but do it under a different mantle or guise. This law is actually, at least by the way that I would spin it in PR, is exactly that. It's militant secularism trying to punch on religion. I don't like this act. I don't like that the secularists have to basically act like religious folks to get what they want. I think it actually shows a very strong tail. When it comes to what Lactoid was getting about when it comes to Islam, I think it's a completely different conversation. I would love to have it, but I think it gets out of the purview because it's just Islam anti-Western, I think is that tagline, and that's a whole other topic I don't know if we even want to touch. So that's my opening, and then I'll let you guys get into it in the open.
We can touch anything we want, right? If the panel's
Whoa, not anything.
Okay. Let's go to our friend Gibbs.
Yeah, so I've been looking at this two ways. One, I don't usually like big government, but I've been very impressed with how this administration has used DOGE to whittle away these government contracts in the manner that's made the government smaller. And so that was a point towards my next point here coming up. And it's basically, I'm a Christian, but I'm not what I'd call a practicing Christian. But, as I told Prime, I don't read these topics till the day of. And I actually had a dream last night. And a Sydney Sweeney-looking ethereal being came to me in my dream and said, Gibbs, you're a sinner, and you need to repent, Lord. And here's what you can do. And made me sign.
Was it in that voice as well?
Yeah, well, hey, listen, don't worry about what's going on in my dreams, all right? It was an ethereal being, all right? Could have been a succubus, could have been an angel, who knows? But it spoke with the voice of a higher power, all right? And it told me that basically, sorry, we got to get the camera not moving. It told me that I needed to sign a pact with it, and we needed to come to terms. And I'm going to advocate for maybe making the government bigger because I do believe in might makes right, and I believe this is a chance that we can bring back the Inquisition. That's what we need to do. We need to have the Inquisition come back, and in an American form. Like the Spanish Inquisition was wildly successful at purging their country of malcontents. And I'm thinking now we should just go full-fledged and we should just embrace religion. We've gone it the degenerate way for a while, and I am a huge fan of that. But like I said, the Lord or somebody has came to me and shown me the way. And I think that we should just embrace this turn to the right even further, and we will be better for it. And we should start digging out the people that don't like that idea with the Inquisition.
Okay. I mean, why shouldn't I have expected the pro-Inquisition stance from my friend Gibbs? Sure. Okay. Adding spice.
Well, this is all from
Appreciate
Sydney Sweeney, though. You have to remember that.
From Sydney Sweeney. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's right.
Let's go to Jeb.
Yeah, I mean, as usual, America is number one at yet another thing, including recognizing religious freedoms and valuing that over any sort of cultural protection of cohesion. I don't think that's the state's role. I don't think it's the state's role to tell us what we all need to believe in order to get along with each other best. I think that's silly. I think that's exactly what America was founded to avoid. Because obviously, the logical conclusion of that is a state religion, and you cannot stop those trains once they are on the tracks, as we've seen through history. And the French secularism conversation is an interesting one because it's sort of an issue we've seen in America as well, in culture, not necessarily in legislation, but in culture of religious atheism and religious secularism, right? Like a secularism and an atheism that is intolerant to the point that they replicate sort of church governments of old. And Quebec, I mean, they've shown no signs of being anything but that. They are the church of atheism. During COVID, they like reveled in adding in more regulations than the next most strict regulatory body. Like they reveled in removing people and arresting people for going to parks. They revel in telling people to not wear crosses outside of their clothes. They revel in these opportunities to strip people's ability to express themselves individualistically when getting anything from the state. But then also, if you live in a place like Quebec, you're in a system that necessitates that you are on the teat of the state. I mean, this is the dichotomy of what Fabian would call socialist societies, but really any societies that have quote unquote robust social safety nets, is they're like rely on state services, but then also you're not allowed to be an individual as it relates to getting those state services. So surrender your religion at the door of the government building, but also rely on the government building for your food, for your ability to sustain yourself outside, if your employment suffers. Also, we're going to implement a bunch of regulations that make your employment suffer, so to ensure that you rely on that social safety net. It's the surrendering of individuality that I think, original French philosophers would scoff at and spit at. The ones that sort of developed some of the ideologies that America was founded based upon. I mean, it's disgusting. They make you fully dependent on a state in the local sense and a federal sense. And then they want you to have to surrender everything about your individuality when you rely on that state. So I think it's gross. I think America does religious freedom best, which is if you're going to have religious freedom, it has to be a core tenet of your country's philosophy. Anything less, I think, is a compromise that essentially negates the experiment of being for religious freedom. You can't force people to be reliant on a state and then make them take off their religious garb or not meet in public areas for prayer when a government is ever expanding its purview over the things that affect your ability to live well, over the land around you, right? Like, I think we would all scoff in America if laying a prayer mat down and wearing your burqa and kneeling and kowtowing on that prayer mat in a park in America got you arrested or fined or pulled out of that park. We would fucking vomit. And I think that's the proper reaction to that kind of legislation.
Well, thank you, Jeb. We love that you came in with a lot of opinions on this. It was exciting. Let's go to our friend Bam.
So when I was made the comment about white people suck at Christianity, I was only like 25% joking in that. I think in reality, like a society that actually, I'm about to say as a Christian, a society that actually truly appeals to Christian values, probably is generally more accepting of others, probably is people who are kind to each other, people who make consideration for one another. Like if you act in the way that I believe Jesus and religion would lead you to be. And that's true for most Abrahamic religions. When I say most, for all Abrahamic religions. So in practice, or like in theory, religion would make things better, and religion is where a lot of our values and foundations come from. So I wouldn't say that it failed America, but in practice, we see that people use it as a weapon to throw down against other people who have different value systems and in a way of otherizing people, and that's unfortunate. And I think that it's actually one of the biggest reasons why generations are rejecting religion in the way they do, due to experiences they have in their churches or and people around them who have those religions aren't doing a good job of representing the values they claim to have. Like, I know something, for example, I consider myself to be a practicing Christian because of, I believe in not just the value of the religion, but the belief of Jesus being the Son of God. But I will say, in practice, American Islam, Americanized Islam is actually a much better functional religion in the way that it leads people to behave. I think that it has a focus on meditation, there's a focus on cleanliness, it has a focus on a larger focus on the way we treat others. I would say it has food restrictions around pork, which is horrible for people, but I love bacon and other forms. I think that it has built-in levels of mental restriction and toughness with fast. Like, I think in practice, it just seems to be a much better way for people to live their day-to-day lives. But I don't believe in the aspects of the religion. So that leads to thing. So it's strange when people got all up in arms about people like Mandami and different things, who it does seem to be practicing Muslim, even though, like I say, he's probably, by all we can see, a more Americanized version of it. I say all that to end off by saying, no, I don't want people to be restricted in their religion's freedoms. I just want us to culturally do better in the application.
Thank you. And I'll leave.
Yep. First off, we got to get you off the bacon, my brother. It's of course got to go. But no, so like the separation of church and state, yes, we don't want theocracies. I'm not a fan of theocracies, no matter what religion is the one running it. Not a fan. So we have a separation of church and state, but we didn't have a separation of church and culture, right? People being religious was always kind of a thing. It was semi-expected up until, like, I want to say the past, like, 2 decades, maybe 15 years, we've kind of hit the secularism hard. I don't think it's good when governments don't embrace their people's ability to express their religions, whatever it may be, and have the freedoms to do so. I think when you start becoming too secular and trying to get away from it, and even imposing like bans on religious practices, or, you know, praying in the park, or had religious gear or whatever, you then get people that you're going to get people who swing in the opposite way of practice. That's where you're going to get Christian nationalists from. That's where you're going to get, you know, the people like in the UK, right, where it feels like the people have embraced secularism even, right? It's not so much like there's a yearn for cultural Christianity because of how many Muslims are in the state, and the Muslims are not, you know, they're not secular, right? Their culture and their religion seems to be going strong fat to the point where a lot of people are converting, right? They're losing the culture of the people. And so, like, if you don't want that, if you want to keep cohesion, if you want to keep like happiness and people, like, you have to allow them their freedoms, and imposing on these freedoms is only going to get you a pendulum swinging the other way, and you're going to get your terrorists, and you're going to get your you know, far right Christian nationalists.
I need to address something. Okay, so first, I think, you know, one of the sentiments that I heard from Jeb Tan was that, you know, this lack of individuality. Okay. So I can say with confidence, at least in Montreal, there are individuals, and there's lots of individuality in Quebec. This is sort of like when a Canadian like Lactoid characterizes Americans as all stupid and whatnot. It's way more complicated.
The state
You
supported.
have language laws in Quebec.
We also
Corey.
have grocery stores. Not
Only
every person
certain
is.
states.
You
We
have
also have
language
grocery
laws.
stores.
Everyone
We're
has to
able to
speak
go to the
French.
grocery store. We don't rely on the government for our food. Okay, it's definitely not all Quebecers. Yeah, just want to put that out there. That
Well, no, I also want to push back. Is that like Jeb? Like I can't say I'm necessarily a supporter of this law, but this law is not the state telling you what to do, and it's not getting you involved in a state religion. It's giving restrictions on how to practice, which I'm not necessarily for it. But like that's different, right? Like this idea that like, oh, now this is another step in relying just on the state. Like, no, there's no evidence of that. It might be bigotry, right? And
Hold
there's
on.
gonna be a lot of bigotry there as well.
I said the logical conclusion. There is certainly evidence that they're moving in the direction of a state religion because they're creating more robust social programs that people rely upon. And now they are saying, well, you can't exercise your religion when you come onto state property or into a state building or abide in these state programs.
You did not help your case. You didn't
And
help your
as-
case. How does that?
Hold on.
That does not help your case. Saying,
It
"Oh, we have
does.
more government services," and so that must mean
Yes.
a religion.
No. Yes, they are literally the ones telling you have to choose between religion and the state programs. So as the state programs grow, what does religion do? It must shrink in your life. As your reliance on the government programs increases, your willingness to abide to your religious principles has to shrink. That is the logical conclusion of that. Is
That
a
not
state
all the
religion.
logical conclusion.
What do you mean?
You're making a jump
If
here.
the social programs become more of your life, what does religion necessarily have to do if you're not allowed to practice?
Well, we still have. Like I don't think you understand. Like we still have religion here. You can look it up now. There's a Jewish General Hospital in Quebec up until around 1998-96. Like I was part of the Protestant School Board of Greater Montreal. Like and also to what Scott brought up earlier. Like,
are they able to wear yarmulkes in the in the Jewish hospital, or would they if this law passes?
Well, so that's at least fairly recent, not fairly recent, but rather like there's a lot of history of the Jewish General Hospital. But like it's essentially as far as I know, I've only been there like once or twice, but it's essentially like a secular institution now. But like
yes,
it had some Jewish
history.
What
I'm saying is it is moving in the direction of the logical conclusion, which is as the reliance on the state grows, their own willingness to abide by their religious principles must shrink. And
no, it doesn't. You just keep saying one must follow the other without actually showing us.
No, according to this law, it must. You can't pray
no, it doesn't.
Park in a group. You can't wear your religious face coverings and head coverings when you're in a government building.
That doesn't say that
you have to be in that government building
does
more.
Not say that. Again, I'm not trying to defend the law, right? I'm just saying that your reasoning here is dog shit. So I'm saying that, like, hey, like,
literally.
Yes,
it is.
I know you're going to keep saying the same thing. You're going to say one must follow the other. I'm saying actually link that. Actually say that.
That's what I'm doing.
Individual.
Yes. So if I rely more on the government services, meaning I have to enter the buildings that offer the government services more, what can I not wear when I go into those buildings now? My religious garb. If I want to go to the local park and pray, can I do that? No, I can't. So if the state owns,
I believe individually you can.
Sure, but in all Abrahamic religions, we believe God's presence is sort of increased as you meet in a group. It is a religious principle to come as a group and pray. So if the state starts to own more of the land, what then does more of the land prohibit? More of the land prohibits me abiding by that religious principle. So as the state's power grows, as it infects more of my life, as I have to go into government buildings and on government property more, I have to check my religion at the door far more often, meaning I necessarily have to check my religion at the door far more the more that I rely on the state.
This is just secularism, okay? And like this is something that Rich was in favor of, okay? If what you're saying is true, okay, well, just culturally speaking, Quebec wouldn't stand for. Quebec is still a deeply religious like province / whatever country that or wants to be country. Like it's still part of the culture. That's actually, they're trying to preserve a certain part of culture, and that's some of the animus behind this legislation. But like, I don't think the logic absolutely follows because religion is still embedded here, and it's still deeply rooted.
Let's go to Gibbs, Scott, and Lactoid.
Yeah, see,
Anyone else?
Jeb,
Let me know.
I think that Jeb is missing the ideal solution, which is actually for the country to just go ahead and stop doing the experiment, which is separation of church and state. So every major empire in history has had a state-sanctioned religion. Like the Ottomans, they had one. You know, the Romans, they had one. You know, all these, the British Empire, they had one, right? We should stop just.
Let's be
we
more
should-
like the Ottomans.
Yeah, I'm just saying we need to embrace a religion, right? We need to embrace it, and then we need to have an inquisition. Now, I'm not saying you can't be a different religion here, but just like the Ottomans, they charge these people of different religions. They need to pay a tax. That's something all these other countries all do. I think we should maybe take notes. These globalists want us to be like all the other countries. Fine, let's be like all the other countries. Let's have a state-sanctioned religion. Let's get the Inquisition back. I'm just saying we should do these things, and then they can see how it goes. I think it'd be good. We can have. I feel like people right now are the most divided they've ever been since the Civil War. Christianity brought us some great things, like I don't know, abolitionists who freed the slaves. You know, big people like that, right? I guess people that don't like religion like slavery. I don't know. I haven't figured that one out. It's crazy. But what I am saying is, I think that this is the answer: is we can use Christianity as a unifying force for America, and we can bring back the Inquisition. We can give the state the religious power that it needs to function. I think that's the opposite of the spectrum is the answer, Jeb, to what you're saying. Because you're saying that it's going to take away the power from the church. Well, if we give the church the power, all is good.
We should go the opposite direction. All the power to the church. Fantastic.
How Quebec was like 100 years ago. That's
Yeah.
really like
The thing is, like,
I'm
I feel like any practicing Christian that's not, maybe Catholic is a little bit different, but I feel like any other practicing Christian would be against the concept of a state religion.
That's fake news. If you're a Southern Baptist, you would absolutely love that.
No, that's the thing.
We like that idea a lot. What are you talking about? They're talking about having a Christian nation under God.
Jesus spent his time with heathens.
Oh, hey, but then what happens in Revelations? He's going to come down and smiteth the wicked, and all the lies of sinners and adulterers are going to be thrown into the lake of sulfur. Yeah, I definitely think that the Southern Baptists will be on board with the state church.
For the wrong reasons.
Oh, wow. Okay. I want to do Church of Christ next week.
to-
Keep going down the list and see which ones would like it. And I think most of it.
I grew up
So
missionary.
let's go to Scott and then Lacto.
Yeah, I was just thinking about a couple of different things. You know, I had this wonderful conversation with another libertarian recently about his theory of the arrow of regression and analyzing policy from a libertarian perspective on, whether or not that policy actually pushes us towards or away from socialism or authoritarianism. And the predominant means, to simplify a big conversation into a little sentence, right, is the policy motivated by the belief that the state can fix problems? And if it is, the inevitable conclusion is increased socialism. The moment that you believe that the state can interact in the economy or in social life and can actually fix problems without creating unintended consequences and simply creating more problems, and without, moving most valued resources to lesser valued resources, you inevitably, that philosophy is a loss for liberty. And the other thing that I was thinking of is, there's these little encroachments against liberty, because there was this thing, and I don't know, don't mean to say, Corey, that this is like truly your belief. You were just like pointing out, you're like, hey, the law says, you can go to the park, you can pray, you just can't pray in a large congregation. And like, and this isn't an attack against that. I know you're just being descriptive of what the law actually states, but it reminds me very much of the fact that in Russia, you can protest so long as you protest as an individual, not in a group. And then what do the police do in Russia is they have undercover agents come protest next to your protest, so that way they can put you in prison for protesting in a group. And it's like, these are the types of powers you don't want to give the state, right? Like this entire bill is motivated by the belief that the state can solve a problem by cultures clashing within their community. That there are religious individuals that have opposing values and opposed cultures, and the government can solve this by additional secular restrictions, by saying you can't wear certain head coverings on public property, you can't do certain things, we're going to limit your freedoms in some way, and that's going to somehow reduce the friction between religious communities. That's like, that should just be patently obvious from the onset that that's not going to reduce friction, that's going to cause additional friction. And then, of course, big daddy government and the socialists on the left and the right are going to say, well, we need a new government program because government can solve, like, once this problem occurs. And what you get is you get this never-ending spiral towards authoritarianism because it's motivated by the belief that the state can fix these problems, as opposed to giving people the liberty to freely associate and disassociate when they need to, and economically free to be able to create their own communities and their own wealth.
I think there should be some pushback against free association. As strange as that sounds, I think maybe it's pro-socialism, whatever you would call it. But I think it would probably do good for people if the state could somehow create programs that incentivize an interaction between religions. Let's say, I don't know if it's like a shared space that they need to use at least once a year or something, but just basically to prevent some of the boogeymen in society. So, like, people seem to do better with each other once they have a relationship with someone that's different from them, like that. And I think that the state involving creating scenarios that that require people to interact within a society, so they can't just make up what that religion or what people who share this religion does, would do good things, would lead to better outcomes.
I want to jump on this real quick. So what you're kind of putting out here is the idea of a religious forum, like actually thrown out by the state. That it's like, hey, like, we actually are going to get together, we're going to interact, and hell, we'll all pitch it to you together, right? So you go over here, you can talk to the Muslims, go over here, you can talk to the Catholics. Like, this is an interesting idea. I'd have to, like, chew on that one for a while.
Like, you can practice as you want to. Like, it doesn't even have to be. Like, I mean, I get it's a religious event, obviously, but yeah, like, there should be some interaction. Like, anyone with any common sense should be able to look at, and I'm just Americanizing it for the context of America's the better country. When you look at, when you look at Mandami, we shouldn't jump to, like, oh my God, he's a Muslim. He does 9/11. Like, that's like, or he is gonna
wow, hold on then.
Maybe
He's
take
good
away
logic,
all
man.
the women's take away all the women's rights. And it's like, wait a minute, like, no, he is a Muslim, but like this only makes sense to someone who's never met New York Muslim in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like a American New York Muslim is like you've never had that interaction. And if you did, you would come away from it and feel like, oh, okay, wow, this guy's kind of normal. Because that's what happened. Well, mainly because Trump told them to. But like a lot of people, once they seen him have
nobody would think Zohran Mamdani is kind of fucking normal, regardless of religious affiliation. Like, that's an insane take. No matter where you are in the political spectrum, Zohran Mamdani is obviously far more socialist than any other major political candidate we've had in the last.
Which means he's far more normal. Like
I'm saying that like MAGA voters now, like, they had an interaction with TV. They're like, wow, this guy's really well spoken. They like him now.
Yeah, MAGA and Trump is the most socialist president of my lifetime.
To that point, the UK has like a speakers corner or whatever, and it's a bunch of different people from different religions, and they go and they like debate out in like public parks or whatever it may be. So there are attempts at certain things. Yeah.
Let's go to Lactoid. He's been waiting.
Can't do that in Quebec.
Let's Lactoid then Ty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more forums or platforms we need for religious debate currently. Seems like that's every other fucking video on YouTube as of right now.
It's modern day debate.
I feel called out.
Well, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, we're having it right now. Everything on modern day debate, as Ali just said. I and obviously very strongly feel attached to freedom of association. That's I guess the evil libertarian in me that wants to give people as much freedom and autonomy over their time as possible. To be bigoted.
Why do you think the religion debate is so like prevalent and so popular?
I'm fine with it being popular. I think these are interesting ideas. I think they're big ideas, and I think.
No, but why do you think it seems to be like? It seems to be like now they're even the like especially the orthos right now, they're kind of like
I think there's a lot of there's a lot of young people searching for meaning, and I think this is one way for young people to try to explore that. And this has been going on for a long time. I mean, I got into like being interested in debate from Christopher Hitchens, who he was the edgy atheist, kind of one of the first ones that was like really televised, and then other people started coming from that, and he was I think to this day I think he's one of the best orators of all time. But
Also
I
gone
wanted
too soon.
yes, gone too soon. I wanted to say two quick things. The first one, I wanted to answer a question that Corey asked me from his intro. Would I like it if public school teachers were wearing a hijab?
I didn't say hijab. I said
He said a
niqab.
Niqab, sure, niqab.
Racist.
I think I don't think so.
Definitely.
I think that the job that I probably would feel the most comfortable regulating the individual's like personal conduct in would be like a public school teacher to elementaries, like to children, right? This is, I think, gives you the most
What about a
leeway.
physician?
Physician, I don't think so, because you can pick and choose physicians in a way that you can't when it comes.
Oh
to
yeah,
your...
so obviously that's going to be different here, but
well, right, but in America, it's not. So I'm more okay with that, but and also I think that all as long as when it comes to a physician, as long as the child is in the hands of a licensed doctor, right? There's a whole separate licensing scheme for that. I don't know the exposure time that we're talking about. I'm not really too concerned or as concerned as it comes to like a public school teacher. So this is the one job that I think probably has the most justification to regulate. And even with that, if somebody was wearing a niqab, but that was the limit of it. They were it was very much their own personal expression. I could, that's like the most extreme example, like a full face covering. But even then I could probably allow that. I'd probably be okay with that. And when it comes to hijab, that's easy, right? Of course, I don't care about that at all. When it comes to teachers wearing crosses or yarmulkes, that's all fine in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so the other thing I wanted to say, and this actually kind of a brain blast. This is a point, and maybe Corey, you can help me with this. Uh-oh.
Real quick.
Me.
Yeah. I was just letting you know. I sent like 30 or 40 people over to you because my stream keeps like fucking up and crashing.
Oh.
Yeah,
but
say thank
I'm
you.
on YouTube.
Loud.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, just because like I can't like my stream bit rate is like all fucked up and wouldn't work. But yeah, continue. Sorry, I just
no. I'll pick up where Lactoid left off. The thing he realized
was brain blast. Brain blast.
This is very important. This is very relevant. No.
Don't get in the way of Lactoid's brain blast.
And maybe Corey can help me with this, but this is actually a point that I remember Aiko making on a prior panel regarding. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a. Well, then you cannot disagree with this now. So I'm really making a good point. This was a point about it was in France about how in France, in the French culture, secularism really has kind of taken the tone of being anti-religious, as opposed to the American brand of secularism, which is more of state neutrality when it comes to religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it seems interesting to me that in Quebec, like this split also seems to be the case, where among the Anglophone in Quebec and the rest of Canada, they're actually they're not really big fans of these laws, but amongst the Francophone people in Quebec, like that's where you find the most support.
Exactly,
kind of
Lactoid. Fuck the French. You got
it.
I'm curious, what is it about like I think it's just like a trauma from the French Revolution. It's just like this deeply embedded hatred of religion amongst the French culture.
Scott touched upon it.
That's what it is.
When he
It's
mentioned the
Quiet
Quiet
Revolution
Revolution.
is a big part of it.
Like
yeah.
that's so. Like I don't want to give a whole. I'm not qualified to give a whole history lesson. Okay, but
you're probably better than I am, though. To be fair, right?
marginally
your
maybe.
local history.
But like yes, for the longest time.
Maybe
Sorry.
Fabian Scott, not the pro and
French
the
French
history,
Fabian. Okay. But yeah, for the longest time, Quebec was like largely controlled by like the Catholic Church, and then to sum up, like as a result of the Quiet Revolution, like there was this push, and also there's tensions between English and French Canada, or rather the Quebecois. There's a reason why they identify as Quebecois as opposed to like French or French Canadians, because like they want to like distinguish themselves, or like they view themselves as somewhat unique, and they want to preserve that aspect of their culture. And like as a result of the Quiet Revolution, and like yes, essentially an anti-religious sentiment that still largely carries over to today. Maybe not to such a high degree, but absolutely that sentiment is like still there, because it's like there's a deep history there.
And I don't think you should be surprised. Just like And very quickly, yeah, I don't think you should be surprised because it tracks that like people who share a language would share ideas, right? Like it makes sense that within Canada there's a separation between the people who are of Anglo cultural descent, right? Because they are inundated with Anglo ideas. So in the Anglosphere, it's more a religion neutrality. It makes perfect sense that the French-speaking people have listened to like France and soaked in that history, and that's altered the way they've approached it. So yeah.
Sure, I get that.
So I just want to expand a little bit to springboard off of that. Just sorry to interrupt, but I just want to add that thing of going back to this cultural aspect, unlike that anti-religious cultural aspect, but also embedded in that, or as part of that, is like the French language. As Ali brought up, we have language laws here because like the Quebecois, they want to preserve their culture. And I'm not saying, and like I'm mostly affected by this because like I'm an Anglo in Quebec. Okay.
Yeah.
And so since they want to preserve that aspect of the culture, and the language is part of that, and the anti-religious sentiment is also part of that. It's essentially that part of their identity.
Yeah, but there's like there's like at a certain point there's like anti-American sentiment in both of those, right? Like you are a North American province or whatever, but you're like out here with the anti-religious laws and the anti-English laws technically.
Yeah. So
let's let in before then. Let's let in Ty's be waiting patiently, and then we'll go straight to you, Jeff. Okay. Promise.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys definitely took this in a couple of different directions. There is definitely within the French culture a hatred for what they used to call the Second Estate. If you know anything about French history, I think that's pretty obvious as to why.
So it's like, have you heard of Napoleonic law?
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. I kind of wanted to hit separation of church and state because we keep dancing around this, and I wanted to like redress this. There are definitely people that are advocating for secularism, religious neutrality. And I do appreciate that, although there's some levels where that does become problematic. But I do think that there is a militarization or I don't want to say weaponization because I think it's too morbid. But there is definitely an enshrinement where people are trying to use that stance and they're actually moving it into leave religion at the doorstep of whatever government building or government institution. I don't see how you do that. I'm not saying you have to have the I'm not saying you have to have like the 10 commandments in the courthouse. I think that shit's kind of gauche. But what I am getting at is that like people's religion informs their moral codex to a large degree. Like this is why religion permeates through societies. It's not just a culture. It's literally the philosophical OS of an entire civilization is embodied in your religion. For people to leave that at the door, I think is ridiculous of a notion at doorstep. But like there is levels to where I think the real conversation on the separation of church and state is that we do not allow the church to monopolize political institutional power. Like that's the actual thing that we need to like state for the new generation. You know, I'm atheistic, but I'm also not very fond of the secularists. Like this is the embodiment that we have to reaffirm. And Sociologic tagged this earlier, which I think he's kind of right on. Like the culture's there. Like Christian values are very much permeated throughout North American society, right? But it doesn't mean that it has to inform literally every decision, but it also means that you're probably not going to inform most. I'm sorry I'm circling the drain, but I wanted to get that in there.
No, that's perfectly fine. And I want to go to Jeb, and then after that, I want to ask Bam a question that dovetails off of what Ty just said. But yeah. And then after that, Ali.
Yeah, and listen, I am king French hater. Okay, I was given a 7-day ban for anti-French racism on Twitch. Okay, that ban has since lapsed, so everybody's good. Okay, but listen, I can recognize that the French that I hate are the modern ones. Okay, and that original French liberal philosophy really gave birth to a lot of the ideals of American philosophy. That's why we got the Statue of Liberty from them, is because we aligned so deeply in terms of individualism and in moderation of the state and in individuality.
And they also helped us kick the British's asses. I think that was like the big thing. Actually.
No, 100%. But the reason they did that was because of original speakers and philosophers like Voltaire and people like that who spoke on the value of democracy and individualism and like to unlearn that
gross
so deeply.
The value of democracy. Ugh.
Yeah. To unlearn that lesson so deeply and profoundly, to say to preserve that, and it's normal. It's the same thing we're seeing with like Southern Baptist whites in the United States. It's like all of these core beliefs of individuality and freedom by self-imposed restriction all of a sudden morph into we have to protect our culture by imposing restrictions on other people who do not voluntarily abide by that philosophy. It's strictly protectionist beliefs, and I think Lacto or whoever said it, someone mentioned that there's not that much of a distinction between United States American philosophy and overall North American philosophy that birthed the North American countries, and that is that I don't think there's room for a North American province that wants to be a state, whatever you classify Quebec as, to have this deeply protectionist belief in that we actually have to impose all of these restrictions on people that don't believe this freedom from religion idea of secularism that we believe in order to protect our culture. Fuck you. If your culture loses, your culture loses. If your culture needs protecting so deeply in a North America that is so tolerant of a wide variety of cultures, then it fucking sucks. Move back to wherever the fuck that culture came from.
Okay, that's something I have to engage with later. But I'm going to ask Bam a question, and we're going to Ali, and I'm going to have to deal with that later. Scott, and then the Canadian.
Oh wait, Canadian.
One
loser.
of the Canadians on the panel.
True. Lacto is the only Canadian socialist.
Only one.
I think even Scott would say you're more socialist. Okay, I think that'd be fair.
Yeah, you're absolutely more.
He's like, you're all socialists, but definitely some of you are more socialist than
me. Yeah. Apparently, can recognize that. Interesting. But anyway, so our friend Bam. So I want to jump off something that Ty said, and honestly push back on something what Lactoid said. Is that talking about like these secularists? One, do you think that we should be regulating expression like at all? Like, do you think there's no point that we should be regulating a religious expression? Like, say for the obvious one, like, okay, if it's going to like hurt someone else, fair, okay, right? We can push that one aside. I think everyone here is going to agree with that. But do you think there's no other places that we should regulate them? Our friend Latoid was saying that, maybe teachers, right? And he made a case for that. I would disagree. Oh, well, actually, I might agree. I might agree on that one. But I'm saying I would expand it past that. And I would say that politicians, actually, yeah, maybe we should have restrictions on their public displays of religion. Now they can believe whatever they want privately, certainly, right? But when you're in the public sphere and we are claiming to represent the people of your district, especially in a multicultural one, certainly, right? It's a little weird when you are explicitly endorsing one religion rather than other. It's and just in general, like especially when we're talking about people on a federal level. I think it's weird that on the federal level where you're like, yes, you may come from one particular district, but like you're making decisions on the entire country that you're making these public displays. I got a problem with that. So I wanted to know what you do since you're actually religious here. I wanted to know your thoughts on that.
No, I don't think that would be a good idea. I think that some number of people have said in different ways that our religion isn't another extension of sometimes a foundation of our moral principles and values. And I think that having that information is part of what it means to be informed on who you're voting for. Now, it doesn't, again, some people end up misapplying what those value are and based on assumptions, based off of what religion that is or what Protestant sect of that religion is. Like they assume all these different things about you. But to me, it would be similar as if a politician is queer, like should they not be able to publicly present their spouse? Because like that is a societal
that's not all
implication.
The same. Why would that be the same?
I wouldn't say the same. I would say it's similar. If they were the same, they wouldn't be compared.
Really
Yeah, of
Okay,
course they
sure,
are.
fine. Well, not similar. No,
Yeah,
not
no.
similar either.
They
Right?
are.
Because no, that's an idea. We're talking about an ideology. Like your sexuality isn't an ideology. I know some people are going to make that dumbass argument
Unless the
here.
state
Just wait
decides
and
it
see.
is. Unless
just
the
wait
state
and see.
decides it is. Right? Like
Yeah,
Quebec state
yeah, I mean,
currently
the
doesn't
state
see it
can
as an
decide
ideology.
everything is an ideology. The state can do that to anything. Anything.
They're
Yes!
currently deciding
That's-
what
But that
Yes.
doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it is though, right? So we can understand
Wait,
that
what?
it's not. It can be misapplied to say that all of a sudden it's an ideology, sure, right? But we can understand that human sexuality
Is the burqa is the niqab an ideology, or is it an article of clothing?
It's I would say it's
Well, it can be
part of
both,
an
technically.
ideology. Yeah, I mean.
Okay,
it can be
so
both,
you
yeah,
recognize that a material thing, right, is a form of praxis of an ideology. It's not a very large jump to assume that an authoritarian Christian
So
or
a
Christian
dildo is an
nationalist-
ideology.
Hold on.
Is that what you're going to say?
Shush. That's not what I'm going to
Could
say.
be.
What I'm saying is it's not a big.
I think so.
It's not. Gibbs.
You got a strap
shush.
on. It's an
Gibbs,
ideology.
shush.
Let him go.
All right, Gibbs. You could tell the joke, but don't keep tripling down on it. It's just annoying.
I got 4 more. Don't worry. We
Got
can
it.
go quadruple.
If the niqab, right, is you're seeing it through the prism of it's an ideology, even though it's only a material piece of clothing, because it's a form of praxis of the ideology, then it's not a very large jump for a Christian nationalist nation to state that showcasing your love for your same-sex partner is a praxis or a means of expressing the
I
ideology of queer
understand.
theory or your
I
gayness.
understand
But
that
if
a
whiteness
Christian
is an
authoritarian-
ideology, if
I
if
understand.
whiteness is an ideology, then my skin color becomes an ideology. It's
I
very easy when you
understand.
give the state power
I
to then say that any
understand. Oh my God, I
expression
don't know why you're telling
of
me
your
this. I don't know why you're telling
because
me
I
this.
because I'm it's not just to you, it's also to the audience, and it's
I don't-
also I'm finishing my argument. What I'm saying is that if a piece of clothing, if a skin color can be an expression of ideology,
Or
then it's not crazy.
Anglophonics in the
Right, it's not
context
right,
of
or that, right? Like then it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
in
none
no
of
way,
these-
shape,
I
or
would say
form
none of these things
crazy
are
to say
inherent.
that showcasing your spouse or showcasing gay love, right, or something like that wouldn't also be considered a bannable form of expressing your political ideology that shouldn't be allowed on public property. And that's why we shouldn't give the state this kind of power.
I'm not even jumping to it from a point of like, oh, it jumps to an extreme. I'm just saying that it. What I would agree with is giving some context. Given particular context, you can make a political statement in things that are aspects of your everyday life, like if holding, about to say, in a strongly conservative district, coming out on stage proudly holding your queer spouse's hand, announcing that you're trans. Like it doesn't have to be. It's not inherent, but it's a
With a
predictor
rainbow
of other
flag
things.
pin, right?
It's the
I
best
see that a
test.
lot.
The
can
best
see
test
that.
for your allowance of state power is to test it, and what would
In
that
the hands of your enemy.
Yeah, exactly. What would that power afford your enemy if they were in charge? As a Christian, funny enough, my enemy, I believe, is Christian theocracy, because I think the one thing that turns the most people off of Christianity is Christian theocracy. So I immediately think of what power would this afford Christian theocrats? And what do you hear from the most ortho bros or Southern Baptist people who want Christian theocracy? You hear, be gay at home, right? But once you start being gay in public or in a position of public power, like a teacher or a government employee or whatever, right? Pete Buttigieg comes up and has a first man. Now you are no longer being gay at home. You are preaching gay. And that is no longer
promoting.
acceptable. If they were afforded the power that Quebec is giving their government, are you not allowed to be gay in the park? Are you not allowed to hold your husband's hand when you walk into a government building? These are the things that I think about.
Go to the Middle East, you'll see plenty of that, right?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. The logical conclusion is a state religion. And I'm not saying that that means necessarily every country that engages in this will become a state religion or have a state religion. What I'm saying is if you continue down the path of that logic in a vacuum with no resistant forces, because obviously I think resistant forces would always topple a government that goes that way, you will eventually happen upon justifications for a state religion. Because if the government's job is to create a cohesive societal ideology that gets everybody to get along the best, obviously the answer is to have everybody believe in the same thing.
I don't even want to
Hold
take
on.
stuff to like down the line. I think that like that's That's valid, but I think
Yeah.
every conversation always gets carried down to like, let's just carry this down and see where it leads to. I think just talking about it where it is, like something maybe I'm about to say Prime may understand more than others. I think that there can be spaces where Black women can make political statements by showing up in public with their natural hair. They can make a decision like, oh, okay, I'm not wearing a wig, I'm not wearing my hair straight. Like, even though hair is just a style choice, it can also be a political statement, and it can be a predictor of things that you're trying. You can make a statement of things you're trying to represent. That was the only point I meant from that, not necessarily that.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
weirdness is
fair
the
enough. I was pushing.
I don't care
back
how
on the
woke you are. Can
ideology,
Black
but-
women
but-
please do
but-
that? Please, it
but
looks so much
political-
better, babies.
True.
But political statement, that part I agree with.
It's difficult to
I
manage.
agree that anything could be a political statement, not necessarily an ideology, but I think everything is political. So
Prime
I'll
finally
give you that.
agrees the personal is political.
I've always believed. Oh my god. Okay, so I've always.
It's a joke. That's fundamental critical race theory, right?
I feel like
Is
there was
that
a second
personal
part
is
to the
political.
question you were going to ask, though. Like, I feel like you
that
were
we're
trying to,
happening to agree on.
or was that it?
Yeah. Okay. Fair. So I guess to slightly expand on this, and I haven't forgotten about you, Ali. We're gonna go to your friend. I guess. So what I hear from other people, right? Some have made this on this case on this panel, is that like take the example of like a butcher, right? Like you're working in a butcher's store, right? And you want to be the cashier, right? But then you happen to be Muslim, and I can't handle pork, right? And like, should we make religious accommodation for you? Is a thing, right? Like everyone pushes back. Well, of course not, right? We can't do the job. Well, then certainly not, right? Well, I say that one, and to a little bit of response to Jeb. We don't have to go deep into this, but like I think that when you are, as we see in America, heavily pushing a religion, right? You also get closer to having a state religion, right? The state religion will just happen to be Christianity, right? The Christian theocracy, but like that can happen in both ways. It could. I think our friend Jeb made a convincing argument as to why pushing secularism too hard can be problematic. But I think on the other way around, if you're pushing like Christianity or just any particular religion too hard, you could also end up both ways with a state religion.
Well, you missed the third way, which is that this is secularism as a state religion being pushed onto the people. That's what this is. This is the enforcement of anti-religion.
And I'm not okay. Well, I'm personally anti-religious, but I'm not like for putting anti-religion necessarily in the state. But at the very least, though, like I think that the way that, at least in America, I'll talk about the American context, the way that American politicians display their faith tends to be quite pernicious, right, and quite damaging. And so if you can't do the job of actually helping create a harmonious society, of actually representing others, right, rather than pushing your religious agenda on others, then maybe you shouldn't be involved in it. That's the larger point.
Well, that's impossible. That's a contradiction, right? It's impossible for a politician. It's impossible for a politician to both make the Christians and the Muslims and the secularists happy. Like I'm not
asking them to make them all happy.
Well, right, but you cannot represent their interests because their interests are contradictory. It's impossible to represent the interests of your constituents.
They're contradictory. That's kind of what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you're not interacting.
They're only not contradictory insofar as all of them are liberals. If they are not liberals and they believe in the imposition of their religious values onto others, then it becomes contradictory for them to represent everyone's interests. It's not possible.
I don't think that's the average of religious person's like experiences.
I didn't say it was the average.
It is the average person. Hold on. It is the average person.
Average is irrelevant.
No, I think it is the average person's experience now because look, there's a reason why conservatives in general are swinging to the extreme religious conservatives in the younger generations, right? They've seen kind of what's happened here basically with like our people my generation being just disenfranchised and everything. They saw like the fake religion of like their parents before that where they went and they go on like Sundays and went, like maybe they go on church on Christmas and that's all they do and they're just lip service Christians. Yeah, lip service Christians, right? You know, they've seen that, and so now they've swung. The youth are swinging the other way, and I think this is like a very interesting thing because y'all are sitting here going, "Oh, you know, secularism could lead to like I don't know, Stalinist Russia." Yeah, I agree, that's bad. I think you know what we're seeing now is maybe we're embracing the religion aspect, like all these other countries back in history. A lot of countries back in history, what was unifying was a national religion. They all got behind, you know, the Church of England. They all got behind, you know, Jupiter, and then later Christianity, right? Like they all get behind this idea of they're taking our culture, our religion, and they're spreading it. And like they see this as a good thing going forward, and they're seeing something they want. And so when you're sitting here going, oh, well, we can have the Muslims and we can have the seculars and we can have the Christians all gonna no, you can't, because not even all the Christians agree on what their version of Christianity is. And if you think they're going to agree with the Muslims, and you think the secular people are going, no, they're going to have to like duke it out, and they're going to come to some kind of agreement.
Hold on. So there's lots of things wrong with this. One, I think that
everything I said is 100% correct.
I don't think. Once again, our view of history is always clouded, and oh my God, Gibbs, the breathing.
Good, breathe. I want you to focus.
We can't focus. It's distracting.
Okay, so I don't think our
breathing of God
is extremely clouded. Right?
It does not sound all powerful.
Like,
Deus Ex breathing
of like the Romans being united behind their religion. I think it's like purely imaginary. I think it's purely imaginary. I don't think that's actually the case at all, right? Sure. Okay. Well, I can think the
no. I actually also agree with Prime. From a strictly historical perspective, they were united behind winning. That's what they were united.
Yeah, and what was what was Romanization? They used their culture, they brought it across. They had they built the baths, the Bacchus. You have the sewers and all this stuff, and they had it. And the culture imprinted upon these people, and they became culturally Roman over time. That's part of it, was the religious.
You're purposefully engaging in the most surface level and deciding not to go deeper.
You can call it the most surface level, but it's real. In reality, it's probably the most deep thing in your life. That's really what you're talking about. I know you're using only 2 inches being surface level.
Listen, if we're being descriptively true, right? I think Admiral Gibbs kind of has a point, right? One of the things that made Rome so successful at conquering peoples was the process of, this is where the term colonization comes from. It comes from the Latin word for colony, and colony means farm. And so what would occur is they would go into new areas, and instead of destroying their religious symbols, instead of saying, you now fuck your religion, you now have to believe our religion, they did something a little different, which is they adopted the pagan religions of the time into their own religion, said, you have a god of agriculture? We have a god of agriculture, and actually your god's real name is what we say it is. And they allowed them they blended in their religious customs into their religion.
But that's not what Gibbs is saying.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
I'm not saying
that's what the Catholics did.
The Inquisition.
That's exactly what the Catholics did. And hold on, look what Spain does.
I'm finishing.
Spain does exactly what he's describing.
I listen, I'm disagreeing with Gibbs a little bit, but I'm adding context because you were like, hey, this is a surface level. Right, I want to bring it up a little bit and say, well, he's kind of onto something, right?
Well, Spain does the same thing.
He's kind of right. And then what they would do, is they would take retired soldiers. They would take retired soldiers, and then and this is that element of power that you're talking about, right? They would take retired soldiers and they would give them conquered farmland. And that's where the term colony or colonization comes from, is that they would then put these retired soldiers and have them live and own farms and have slaves in that area to maintain the stability of the religious practices so that they were unified under one religion.
And Spain takes this a step further. Spain does this a step further. They implement the Inquisition. They clear out dissidents, right? The Moors. They clear out other groups.
After 400 years of getting butt fucked by the Muslims, they do the Reconquista.
Hey, listen, they're smart. Then what they do, the conquistadors go to Central America and South America. There's a reason why all these groups converted, is because they did exactly what Fabian described. Because guess what? They absolutely did. They went. That's fake news. What happened is all these tribes rose up against the Incas and the Aztecs with the Spanish, and then willingly converted. We see that. That's why they're so devout today. It's absolutely great.
Accepted what Jesus into their hearts.
No, Bartolomeu de las Casas, fought for the Recombienses. system,
That's-
and
yeah.
that recombienta system was utilized as an attempt to communicate with the tribes religiously. But they absolutely
The missions were a good thing. We were saving
forced people into a
left and right,
completely new
medical
religion.
care.
It's totally different than what occurred in Rome.
Yeah,
And,
listen,
and which one is more effective to this day? All the people are still Catholic, are they not?
Let me get them back.
They're all Catholic to this day. I press my case.
Let me get my get back.
Well, most of them are Catholic. That is fair.
Okay.
And so clearly it worked.
Last thing that I want to finish my point. Then I want Bam to respond. If you has anything to respond, then I got to go to our friend Ali's been waiting very patiently. Okay, so you can make a quick thing. And like what I see you.
Oh, wait. I had my hand.
They
up the wall.
2v1 me, and I gotta be able to get my get back.
How about you can skip it and go straight to my sweet baby Ali.
He said, "Go."
Oh, okay, yes. So no, the Spanish did the exact opposite of the Romans. They said you have a grace period to convert, or we fucking kill you. You also can extend that grace period if you confess your sins. Your sins being believing in fucking anything other than what we believe.
Worked, Jeb.
It was not at all
Exactly. They worked like a champ.
You know what worked better? Genghis Khan's framework of legitimate religious tolerance, which created the largest empire on the entire planet.
Nobody gives a shit about that.
Hold on.
Horrible.
Even from your purview,
This
that
is
might makes
wild.
right. The mightiest of making right was religiously tolerant and
We're
allowed
a long way
Nobody-
now compared to the Catholics.
Bro, the Catholics had long-term plan, bro. It was long-term. Thank you, Queen Isabella. You did your job good. The greatest defender of the Catholic faith.
Catholic colonization was actually low time preference thinking all along, boys.
You had your turn.
It was the long-term thing. And then listen, the Romans, they became the Catholic Church. It was all planning.
What Catholic leaders' genetics are in 12.5% of the global population right now? When we're talking about,
I know it's
Kublai Khan raping a bunch of bitches is not fucking evidence of religious tolerance.
Obviously, this is a meme of Gibbs's might makes right, justifying an Inquisition. What I'm saying is, even the most friendly thought to Inquisition doesn't justify the Inquisition, because might makes right would even suggest.
Okay, hold on. Wrong. Check this out. I'll tell you why you're wrong. If you go 1,000 years in the future, there should be more Catholics than Genghis Khan kids. Guarantee it.
More cat. Wait, he was a secularist. There are not more Catholics than secularists even right now.
There's got to be more Catholics than them.
You can't attribute secularism to Genghis Khan.
Oh, that's crazy, bro.
You can't attribute every Catholic to Roman colonization either.
You can maybe attribute secularism to Kublai Khan, but not Genghis Khan.
I do want to move on.
Fair enough. Genghis Khan was a little bit of a mystic.
No, but I will credit the Spanish colonization.
Words.
Words. Knock it off.
Oh, that worked.
So, what I want to say, and before I'm gonna let it go. Now, I want to hear other people, like as we go along, you guys answer this question, right? Because I think there's a bit of a miscommunication here, right? So, do you all think that secularism equals anti-religion, or like that they're like a or even that they're a Venn diagram that very heavily overlaps? Because I think these two things are separate. For the most part. So when I'm talking about secularism, right, and pushing that, like in my idea of secularism, again, like to be more of an agnosticism to, I'm not even using that word correctly here, but agnosticism to religion, right, within the public sphere, that I'm saying that would be the best way to be an effective representative, right? It's not that I'm looking for a representative to tie together everyone's interests, because of course there is contradiction in people's interests, right? But that's always the case when we're talking about public life. I'm talking about, hey, to represent you, right? Just like a judge, it's like we don't want a judge who espouses a racist ideology, right? Because clearly they can't be neutral, right? They can't be a good arbiter of justice. I think you can't necessarily be a good arbiter of politics if you are saying, oh, well, like, fuck all you, like, my religion is number one. So I'm going to, so Bam, if you want to comment on that, then we'll go Ali, because we've been waiting patiently, right? Then we'll go to Canadian, Corey, sorry. I want to get Lactoid and then Ty.
I don't care. I'm about to say real quick. I don't care about a perfect representation of the people of the district. Although you could argue that a district that's overwhelmingly religious is going to elect elect at least a somewhat religious representative. But I don't know. I think that we're just picking a person that we think most holds good values or is advocating for things that we think is good. And I think having as much information on that person, more information on that person, is typically better. I don't need to see what their penis or vagina size looks like, but I'm about to say aspects of their like person and where we feel like their moral framework comes from, be that religion, creed, their family background, familial background, the type of university they attended. All the information is good and helps me make a informed decision. Now,
I kind of want to see their dicks. I think that a person with a small dick, right, would make some like big decisions to compensate. Yeah,
Stephen Miller has a little dick.
Yeah, 100%. You know it. He does.
You heard it here first, folks. Prime's favorite president was Lyndon B. Johnson, who may or may not have said, "I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for 100 years." But also, he loved to whip out his cock in the Oval Office.
Lyndon Big Johnson, that's the guy that he wants.
Let's go to Ali.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I think secularism and anti-religion are different. I think there's a small overlap in that, like, probably the secularists are going to be the anti-religious realistically. But then I was going to ask you, because you were saying you were anti-religious. Do you and then Corey, I'm going to ask you a question after. Do you think that like more people should operate in that regard, or do you think that like do you think there like what is a more communal like unifier, right? Secularism and like political ideology, or like religion, right? Even like different political groups, like in like a multicultural city like New York, right? Like a Muslim can win mayor base, regardless of him being like Muslim or Christian or Jewish, right? You're probably not going to get like an atheist for mayor or like an atheist for president, realistically. So if you want to think about that for a second, then Corey, it's like I would wrap you in. You were saying you brought up the niqabi teacher earlier. Do you have a problem with the niqabi teacher?
I'm conflicted on it. I don't really have a good answer.
Are you conflicted with like a Christian teacher, giant cross? I don't know what like the equivalent would be for like a Christian,
big,
or like a
big ass crucifix.
Or like
I have an issue with that. I would have an issue with that as well.
Okay, then do you also have like the gay like LGBT flag?
Not necessarily, depending on.
I
would say that if like a teacher comes in and wearing the flag, it's like a cape. I'd probably have an issue with that.
No, they have the flag, or like a trans teacher.
Well, I have no problem with a trans teacher.
They're like 40% passing.
Let's say they have progress
Well,
flag. Is that a problem? Is it a problem to have the progress flag on the wall?
Like she is very clearly
you have a problem with like the niqab because like it's hyper expressive of the religious. You have a problem with the
no, it's not. I think it would probably, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm not a teacher in the classroom, but to me, it sort of prevents. There's a barrier to teaching built into that.
But there isn't a barrier.
That isn't with a
like
progress flag on the wall,
or like a barely passing trans person.
A little bit less so. There's a spectrum there for me. Yeah.
I'm curious.
I mean, wait.
I want to ask
I'm going to engage in Scott. So as far as, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ali, like the niqab is pretty much like it's the full covering of like you essentially can't see. It's like pretty much.
Yeah.
No.
But
niqab, you can see the eyes.
Yeah.
Niqab, you can see the eyes.
and so I don't know if you were echoing this sentiment, Scott, but at some point people were against masks in schools because like you're covering the face and that's important for child development. It's like is that not also?
Yeah, but like a big crucifix would. That's why.
Well, but you said a big crucifix.
That's why I said Hasidic Jew. Like
I said I have an
rosary.
What about rosary? But then when it gets to like a different ideology, which to me is pride, not necessarily being gay, but like pride is like pushed as an ideology, right? It's a pretty heavy ideology. Why do you see like that not as distracting as like religious ideology?
Yeah. Well, so we can get into philosophical discussion about ideology, but it depends on like how they're expressing it. Like if you're talking about again the example of a flag in principle, like yes, if someone is actually like wearing the flag as their clothing, I would have an issue with that. Yes.
What if they just had an article
like
an earring with the pride flag
on it? Yeah, a small pin. I would be conflicted about that. I would say probably okay, but I would not be, let's say, opposed if like the laws were also against that as well.
So if they had like a Saudi flag in the background, right? They're not wearing a Saudi. They're not wearing the like.
Well,
a
no, if
headgear,
that's
and
part
they
of like I don't know geography or something for just like informing someone.
It's got religious text. It's got religious text on it. The Saudi flag is like a religious quote.
It just,
on the,
it just
your-
lets
well,
us.
no,
It depends.
We're
Like
teaching
again,
children what backs up the U.S.
So it's article of
No,
clothing
wait,
that makes it like an issue.
Yes,
for
if it's
you.
an art of clothing, but if there's a Saudi flag as part of the lesson or curriculum,
This
I'm
is
not
where Daddy's
So the
gas
ideology
comes
doesn't
from,
matter. So if they have like an
kiddos.
Israel flag in the background or a Palestine flag, it's not the ideology so much as like wearing the ideology.
To a certain extent, yes. Again, there's a gradient or a spectrum there. Yeah.
Okay, this seems like a oddly now this seems like an odd like Quebecian thing. Like what's the issue with like wearing wearing your ideology, or like it's like are like bumper stickers okay? I'm anti-bumper.
Yeah,
sticker.
well, that's
I fucking
private
hate
property. That should be
bumper stickers.
Okay.
Ali,
Well,
like,
if
if
someone's
you're
wearing a bumper
dressing
sticker on
your
their
car-
forehead, that's a different story. But if you're talking
Well,
about
no.
a bumper sticker on a
What if I have
bumper,
like a religious, like I have like the little Jesus fish, and I pull into a government like a parking lot, a government building parking lot? Is that now like me?
that
like,
is generally fine. Well, first of all, okay.
But I can't wear my neck.
I
But
love
you
this-
can't wear the
wait,
cross
don't-
into the
wait, correct
building.
me if
Is
I'm
kind of
wrong,
what I'm
correct me if I'm
saying.
wrong, correct me
Like,
wrong. Do you
I'm
take
jumping in
issue-
for a minute.
do
Like,
you
this
take
is really-
issue- Wait. Do you take
Go ahead.
issue with the president swearing an oath on the Bible?
no.
Okay. Well,
Also, you
to me-
can
to me,
choose to
that-
swear it on any thing.
Yeah,
actually.
you can swear.
You don't
on
have
it.
to swear it on the
they
Bible.
never
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on.
Wait,
They
wait,
never
wait,
do.
I'm
There's
not
a
done, I'm not
pressure
done.
to do
Because they've
Christian.
been
Well, because
Christian.
you
Well,
wouldn't
because
wear-
most of them
far
are
as
I
I
just
can
want
tell,
to say,
as
I
far
just
as
want to
can
say
tell,
that
as
I
far
view
as I can
vandalizing
tell,
cars the
as
same
far as
way
I
that
can
I
tell,
view
as
rape.
far as I can
Okay.
tell,
What was your car wearing?
In last year, I believe in 2024, there were 4 Republican-led states that tried to get the 10 Commandments in classrooms. Okay, and that was like pretty much like state mandated. Does anybody have an issue with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have an issue with the state mandating religious like being pro any
This
one
was-
specific
yeah,
religion. Yes.
This was a Republican-led.
Doesn't matter. Mandating religious practice to me is the same thing as mandating like anti-religious. It's the government shouldn't have its hand in like what people do.
I don't necessarily
religiously.
agree with it. That's why I said if I'm
This
choosing
is why we
between,
align on Trader Joe's
between-
hummus, bro. 'cause
between
you're so
how
based.
Quebec, handles secularism, and how the United States handles secularism, I prefer the Quebec.
I really want to
Ali,
dance for this
I'm
because
curious.
everything I want to say
What-
is
I
about
wanna
this.
ask
No,
curious-
hold
I wanna
on.
ask Ali, 'cause it's
Let him
Phil's
answer
turn.
No, no,
why.
Because to me,
Why?
yeah, I take an issue, even though you as brought up earlier, is it likely that an atheist can run for president? Probably not. Is even though you can swear an oath on
Wouldn't.
anything, you still have the Bible. Okay, you still have, again, like I said, you have, I think it was Louisiana and Utah and a couple other states that literally tried to get the 10 Commandments in every single classroom, and there seems to be no issue with that.
It's
Again,
always an ongoing fight.
yeah,
But
exactly.
why is that bad that some
it's not
states
so-
could
Ali,
do that?
We got to
There's a
move.
fight
We
right
gotta-
now on that.
We do have to.
No, we shouldn't
move
mandate
forward.
And to me,
anything
that
like
is
that, no.
perverse. And most
Why?
Quebecers
No, what
would
I'm
probably
saying
view
is
that
I
as fine.
agree
Guys,
that
guys,
we
guys,
should.
no,
Don't ignore Prime.
We got to move on. We got to move on.
Let me
We
ask
gotta move on.
Ali.
We gotta move on.
Yo, what
Ask
up,
Ali
man?
something before you move away from
Yeah.
Ali,
What
could
is
you-
that?
He said, "Don't
This is
ignore
Ali's
Prime,"
turn.
and then he
Don't
went,
ignore
"Let me
Prime.
go."
Anyways,
asked
let me
Prime.
get in.
And I asked him for permission. He could have
I
said
didn't
no.
see. I didn't say
He said
anything.
yes. He said give this to me. Ali, how do you if she wore the niqab? I'm about to say, I'm sure you're assuming you're fine with the niqab, right? Because you were asking Corey about it, right?
I mean, I understand why people have like an issue with it, but yeah, I could be fine with it.
Okay, I'm curious. What would be? I'm about to say, is there a distinction between? And I'm talking when I'm assuming we're thinking of like elementary school kids that are like being shaped and informed on. What would be an appropriate versus inappropriate answer for a child asking why you're wearing this? Like, well, like when we say like an appropriate answer, I would assume would be like, oh, I think it's the way I express myself. Or would an inappropriate answer be like, I don't think women should show their faces?
So, to be fair, niqab isn't religious garb; it's cultural. So, like, they would just it's cultural garb. Yeah, niqab is there's nowhere in the religion in the Quran anywhere where it says that you have to wear a niqab. Most Muslims don't wear a niqab. It is certain cultures that practice this.
Thank you.
I mean,
So let's go. we're
that,
gonna go
I
to-
mean,
we're
that's a
gonna like to-
little shaky.
we're
Not the
going-
It
niqab
really isn't.
specifically,
We're
but like
like
head
to-
covering.
Hijab is obligatory.
we're
Yes.
gonna-
Yeah,
yeah.
Although within the
Black
religion, you also are not allowed to obligate anyone to do anything outside of their own will. So
Yeah.
if you are obligating someone to do that, that's a cultural stance, not a religious
Okay,
stance, and you're going to
wait.
burden
Okay,
health.
we're
And
gonna
now
lag
we're
to it,
informed.
and then we're gonna go. Then we're gonna tie.
Real time.
We're gonna go to lag to it. Then we're gonna go Ty next, and then we'll go to Scott. All right.
So-
And lag to it. You can deal with the super chat.
Okay.
While you're at it,
Sure.
$5 from our friend FQ. She says, "Would anyone have any issue with a person wearing a swastika in a synagogue?" Thank you, FQ, for the kind support.
The answer is
So
yes.
this question actually is good because I think it perhaps explains the point that Corey was making, that in principle I think is a perfectly rational point, which is that there's a spectrum here as to for public school teachers what's allowed and what's not. And we have to balance, in my opinion, we have to balance what the risk of disruption of the learning environment is, and potential influence on the children, compared with the individual's right to wear what they want. It's perfectly fine to have a spectrum, right? We have a spectrum for all sorts of things when it comes to this. There's a spectrum on how bad you can smell. If you walk into the school and you're like a little bit bad, you should probably be okay. But if it's really fucking bad, then you might have to like go figure something out because this is disruptive. The kids can't learn. They're all their eyes are sweating. Like they're crying. It's awful. I think this is like comparable. So I'm just, the thing I disagree with Corey about probably is just his valuation of the spectrum, where like I would think that somebody wearing a cross would be much less disruptive than somebody wearing potentially like depending on the size, but like a pride pin or being like a non-passing trans person, etc. When it comes to like the reason why I said before, because the niqab was the question that was given, and then Ollie's commented on that, and I said, that one I'm probably okay with. Kind of in line with what Scott said, I can see how that can be disruptive to certain roles that require you to have face-to-face communication with children. And if that becomes an issue, I can see that being limited for that reason. But for roles that don't necessarily require that, like, not only am I fine with it, like I would have no problem with a janitor having a niqab, for example, in a school. But on top of that, like, if you try to get them to stop, this is going to be a religious lawsuit. They're not going to say this is a cultural thing. This is a religious thing for most people who wear it.
Well, yeah,
That's
they on there. No. So like I said, the headscarf is obligatory, but also like you're not going to really run into. I don't know how. Like I live in Dearborn, pretty high Muslim population. There are some niqabis.
It's very rare.
I've never once seen them try to be a teacher.
It's just a hijab,
right? It just isn't a thing. Like if you're
I understand, but it's
that embracive of the culture of like whatever, you're probably not going to be doing like too much like Western.
No, Ollie, I understand.
Yeah, but lawfare will happen eventually, right?
Right.
Just like bake the cake, bake the cake, right? Like no, like that was not a real conflict.
What I'm trying to say is that like the niqab is the extreme example, just like the swastika. The swastika is like an extreme example. I also don't think a teacher should be able to walk into class wearing a swastika, right? Because that would be disruptive. The Jewish students might have a problem with that, probably would have a very significant problem with that, and it would disrupt the learning environment. With a synagogue, I mean, I don't believe in any kind of state-sponsored synagogue, so the synagogue can have whatever policy they want in terms of the people walking in with a swastika. If they want to allow them due to like some kind of like religious tolerance or whatever, fine. But they are also well within their rights to say, no, you're not coming into my synagogue wearing a swastika.
FQ doesn't believe your answer, by the way. She would call you a liar.
I fair enough. I think that
I've had this conversation where she called me a liar because I had the exact same answer as you did, pretty much.
Okay. Well, that's my position. I don't think I'm a liar, but that's my position.
I don't think so either.
Wait, what's the lie? Do you think that they should wear a like? What would be the lie?
No, I don't like the swat. I don't know which. Okay, I don't like the swastika.
What's the lie?
Where's the lie? I'm out of curiosity. What do you think the lie is, Corey?
She doesn't believe that you, or rather, she didn't believe that I believed that it's possible that for a synagogue, obviously Jewish, would allow a person with a swastika in, because according to her, there's this intense security, and it would just like never happen. Even though I was pretty much echoing the same sentiment as you were.
Sure.
She didn't believe that. I held that belief.
Do you think it's the same rule of thumb as like tattoos? Do you think it's like kind of like some tattoos are accepting, some tattoos?
Some tattoos should be covered up.
Line of like, oh yeah, this is probably
Well, exactly. Some tattoos, body modifications. This is one that's got in the news. Like the people who like tattoo their eyes so they look like demons and they have these horns and stuff.
Maybe what about like split their tongue?
Yeah, splitting their tongue. These people probably should not be teaching kindergartens.
What's wrong with this? If they split their tongue, if they split their tongue in college, right, and they're like 40 now, and they've learned to talk normal, and they still do it. What's wrong with them teaching?
I want to say one last thing. I want to back up Gibbs with one thing that he said. I know we kind of glossed past it, but Gibbs actually has a very strong argument that the places in the world that are still the most religious became religious through forced conversion. So maybe he's got a point. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so I got a quick super chat. Then I want to go to Ty. He's been waiting, and he's got to go soon. Okay, all right. So FQ of course responded to Corey. FQ said $5. Corey is lying right now. He says specifically that he found nothing morally wrong
Yes,
personally.
that's true. I said there's nothing morally wrong.
Synagogue.
Do you think there's something morally
Okay.
wrong with someone wearing a swastika in a synagogue?
There is something disruptive, but I don't
Oh,
necessarily see there being
exactly.
something morally wrong.
Now you're a liar, Lactoid. You're a liar.
But
Bro,
you
I'm an
said
anarchist, and I think that's morally
fight
wrong,
was
dude.
different.
What the fuck? Like,
it's okay. It sounded like you said something differently though. But okay.
Well, not under like libertarian ethics.
I feel like
you're
it's
just
excitement.
you're expressing your opinion.
under objectivist ethics,
Let's go to
it's
Ty.
absolutely morally wrong
Ty,
to engage in that.
we love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
lay it all on us.
I'll try to lay it out real quick, and then unfortunately I got to bounce. But I particularly want to have this conversation with Ali, but I wanted you all to chime in because y'all been dancing around it for the last 30 minutes. Sorry, Scott, plug your ears. You're going to hate everything I say for about the next 30 seconds. I don't have a problem as an example with the state coming in. It's like, hey, y'all need to like chill for a day, right? Y'all need to take some time off, take care of your family, be with, things. Like if the state came in and said, we should do this, I don't have an innate ick factor to that. I'm sure Scott's like freaking out right now. But when it comes to a religion saying that, or more particularly your representative says, and it should be Sunday because I'm a Christian and that's what God's day is, all of a sudden there's a tremendous ick factor that I think everyone...
Saturday. But
So like the problem I have here is that like if I try to remove the ick factor, a lot of the problems that I have with opposing like certain things completely goes away. And so it's like, all right, I don't get where the separation of church and state needs to actually be at, because there's so many things that religious people can advocate for that I don't have a problem with in principle, but empowering them is dangerous. So I'm kind of wondering what everyone's litmus test is on this, because I can't answer this. I can't.
Here's the issue: is the guy that you said is going to hate everything you say has a great litmus test for it. And I'm not an ANCAP as much as Fabian is, but the litmus test is, if a Christian representative represents a Christian district and proposes things that align with Christian interests and do not infringe on non-Christians' rights, that's your litmus test. That's what's kosher. The moment it infringes on non-Christians' rights, or you get a Christian in an executive position that starts to infringe on non-Christians' rights, which is where my line is. I don't think executives should run on religious principles. I think that representatives for the House, that's about as big and as broad as you can represent a populace and still have religion in your politics. I think the moment you start running for executive office or for a Senate position, you cannot guarantee that enough of your state, unless you're from Utah, is of your religion to where you can justifiably inject religion into your politics at that point. Because
soda bans are coming, boys.
Yeah,
Utah's ready.
Yeah. And so I think that's the litmus test. Is it's like, do you infringe on the rights of non-Christians? And this is the issue. Is I think secularists should understand that they are abiding by a sort of religion. If they're abiding by legitimate, which I agree, French secularism is real secularism. No, it's real secularism. Secularism is believing in a secular government that rejects religion, that says only secular ideals should be present in government. But understand that real secularism is functionally a religion in and of itself, in the sense that it is intolerant of other religious ideals and it will push them out. And abide by the same limitations that you believe religious people should abide by, in that you cannot state
this is what Gibbs was doing with the Roman Empire. Looking at the surface level, all this is a religion.
You're going to agree with this part.
Opposing ideology.
No, Prime, you're going to agree. Abide by this.
The most deep analysis here.
Stop, Gibbs. No, it was not.
Just because you don't agree, we can talk about all the fundamental layers.
You were wrong about like the fundamental layer of your argument.
100% correct about everything I said. I'm sorry that you're upset about it.
You didn't let me close the loop. Abide by the same principles you want other religious people to abide by, and simply exercise secularism in a way that does not infringe on the rights of non-secular people. Quebec is actively infringing on the rights of non-secular people, and that is where the line should be drawn.
And non-French-speaking people.
Which is super month of June, because you should not make people speak French, because that is the most month of June shit I've ever heard of
but
in my
hold on.
life.
Like we just declared a
I'm
national.
saying-
We just declared English as the
Come back and
national
say that.
language. It would
Let me
be
know how
it
it
would be
goes for
like
you.
kind of rough if we just had like enforced English laws in America. That'd be
Wait a minute,
nasty.
hold on.
That'd be
But
great. What-
Even
what-
then, you're saying the line should be don't infringe on the rights of non-secularists, right?
Yes.
But like, what are those rights then, right? Because if I'm a Christian, well, I'm saying, well, my rights are that like the local laws should like back up my religion, right? It should say that like I should be, like, and Lactoid loves this, I should be able to be a bigot, right? A Christian bigot. That's very important, right? To Lactoid.
Sure,
that,
you just can't
Christians can be
exercise
bigots.
public
Unironically, very
power.
important to me. Yes.
What I'm saying is, if you truly believe in the virtues of public ownership, if I'm on land that I in part own, I should be able to exercise my own religion in a way that doesn't infringe on the rights of others on the land that I own as a part of the public.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would generally agree with you, right? But a lot of Christians generally disagree with you. So I'm just saying, like, even
Or
as the litmus test
pro-bigots like
fails, when
myself.
I would
actually
disagree
getting-
with Christian theocrats that think that Muslims should not be able to lay a prayer mat out at any park that is nearby them
I know
and
you
pray
disagree.
toward Mecca.
I know you disagree, and that's fair,
Yeah.
right?
I fuck with Trader Joe's hummus, dude. I'm all the way
my
in.
problem is
I'm all the
that
way
your test doesn't actually work in practicality.
No,
because a
it
lot of
does
people have
work.
that
I just think
expansive-
other Christians also fail
when
it.
we decide what their rights are, right? I agree. I should be able to decide what their rights are. I agree. That should be me. It should be me, Prime, who gets to decide. But apparently, it's not my ability to do that. And so, in the real world, those other people have a say in their rights.
You can
and
choose
they have
not
more
to vote for
expansive
Christians.
view of
It's
their
not
religious
about what
rights.
their rights are. It's about whether or not they infringe on yours. So, right. So, what you're, I think, having a gripe with is Christians who infringe on the rights of others, not a misinterpretation of Christians' rights. You are saying Christians have a misinterpretation of my rights and they're infringing on them in such and such way. What I'm saying is wear the niqab if you're teaching my kids, wear a cross if you're teaching my kids, have a pride flag if you're teaching my kids, so long as far as our public policy, you are teaching my kids what we have decided as a public, you have to teach my kids, and nothing more, nothing less. I don't want trans people teaching my kids about gender ideology at 8. I also don't want Christians telling kids they need to pray to Jesus at 8. I don't want people talking about how great it is to have heterosexual sex with a woman at 8 years old. I want numbers. I want numbers and letters and cursive, maybe, if that's still relevant in some way. I don't want people
On everyone the fifth
pushing
grade
ideology.
education.
But
But
we,
I'm
but we
not-
currently do that, right?
See, he wants Arabic
It's-
numerals, boys.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't,
Clearly
maybe it's because I
he's-
grew up in the South, but like well, I
Clearly,
think-
he's pushing
It depends on
Islam.
I
the
think
school
early in
district.
6th grade we had FCA like as an option.
That's an option. That's not the same thing.
But I'm saying I don't think you have a pride club in a 6th grade classroom.
You,
Like, a
I mean, it
pride club is-
That's an
depends-
after-school
it depends-
curricular activity.
it depends
I
where
literally
you
did
are.
in the fucking early 2000s.
But extracurricular is
Did you?
fundamentally extracurricular, and all of that is permissive.
It's
But
gay straight
no,
alliance.
I'm not
but
talking about. I'm
same
not talking
difference.
about like.
Yeah.
I mean, and
we had
maybe
GSA at my school.
I was about to say,
everyone did.
yeah, maybe y'all's is different. I was about to say, I don't. At least growing up in the South, like in practice, I don't think this plays. I feel like that's like new.
Well, I don't think it was
If
a
a
rule
school
against
has
it. I
a-
think there just wasn't a big enough GSA presence in that area, which is not cool. Like I wish there was, right? But it's like extracurricular is fundamentally extracurricular, and I think those are good because it teaches kids. Listen, there are appropriate spaces in which you exercise what you believe, and then there are appropriate spaces where you sort of get in line, you do what you got to do, which is fundamentally the public school system, fortunately or unfortunately, was designed to teach kids how to function in the society we live in. And it teaches them when you're at work, you're at work. And then when you're on your lunch or you're at home, you get to exercise your sort of extracurricular beliefs. And that is, I think, how it should be. And I think
Let's
that's
go
what
to-
you do.
Yeah, again, it
Scott-
doesn't feel great
Scott,
in practice.
I don't know what
Sorry,
FCA is, but maybe Scott can tell me.
Fellowship of Christian
Christian
Athletes. It's
athletes.
just like you go to the gym and you pray with people, basically.
Yeah.
But GSA is like the gay version of that, where you go into the gym and you talk to like
You
the
do
3
butt
gay
sack,
people
gay
at your
students.
school. Yeah, and all the straight kids pretend to not say the F slur, and everybody holds hands and sings songs together.
Scott,
Yeah, so you had asked the question, and I apologize in advance because this is time for me to go not even full blown ANCAP, just halfway ANCAP, which to you guys will
boy.
seem insane. You would ask the question: is secularism by its nature anti-religion? And I would say that secularism, by definition, must be anti-religion because secularism is the belief that the state is legitimate. That is baked into the separation of the church and state. By believing that the state is legitimate, there's a belief that the state can solve problems and that the state ought be used to solve conflicts. The moment that you believe that the state is a legitimate arbiter in conflicts amongst people and that state should be valueless when it comes to religious ideology, it must mean that there is a valueless or anti-religious aspect that is imposed by the state as a mean of causing solving cultural conflicts or conflicts within communities. It is not possible for a secular state to not be anti-religious unless it gives up on its claim that the state is legitimate. It falls into contradiction. Furthermore, the state can't solve problems. That is part of the problem. To answer Fairy Queen question, swastika in a synagogue is absolutely a problem as far as I'm concerned, because the synagogue is a place of religious worship for the Jews, and the swastika is a symbol of genocide of them in many ways and of that ideology. But the cool thing about a synagogue is that a synagogue ostensibly is private property, and they can ban that because there's no contradiction, because you don't have the inherent contradictions of public property. The individuals that own the synagogue can say, these are the rules in our synagogue and you are not welcome, and if you don't leave, then eventually we'll use force to make you leave. And that really gets to the crux of the issue, both in this anti-religious aspect of praying in public parks, as well as the education system. And that is that public property in and of itself is violative of human rights. You cannot say that you support human rights and that you support the existence of the state or the existence of public property. The moment that you claim that property can have co-ownership is the moment that you have established as an ethical system, you have established a conflict-inducing system. When people have opposing values and they want to use scarce resources towards opposing means, the scarce resource in this example being a public school or a public park or anything of that nature, you then have to try and force via the power of the state some compromise. There are Christians that don't want to see a bunch of Muslims in the public park. There are Christians that don't want to see a bunch of gay leather daddies doing their pride parade through the streets. But the problem is that when you have public property, is that you assume that everybody is an owner. And if everybody is an owner, no one is an owner. All that you have is the imposition of power from the state to impose the state's values upon you. And if the state has a specifically anti-religious or non-religious element to it, then it must impose anti-religious values upon religious people. And this is also true with the concept of public schooling. The reason that we have all of these problems is that you are describing ways in which people are imposing their values onto children. And the reason there is conflict is because public schooling is funded by the state, funded by taxes, is seen as a human right. And so you have people with opposing values with their children in these schools, and then you have other individuals with opposing values imposing those values onto those children. It is the existence of public property that creates this contradiction, that creates this problem in the first place. And it is secularism that has an anti-religious bias via the fact that it is a separation of church and state, and it is supporting the concept that the state is legitimate, the state can solve problems, and that requires that anti-religious bent. It requires an imposition against religious freedom and religious liberty. And lastly, Bam, you had talked about, I don't think a perfect representative exists that represents all of the values. I absolutely agree with you, right? That is the inherent contradiction of democracy and the inherent contradiction and the illegitimacy of the concept of the will of the people or having a politician represent you at all, because it's not possible for a politician to represent the values of millions of people because those values contradict. And so this concept that of secularism solves this is A equals not A. Secularism does not solve this. It simply doesn't empower one religion over another religion, but it still maintains the religion of statism. It still maintains an ideology that the state and theft and coercion are all legitimate things, and that this leads us towards a better place. And this is absolutely positively untrue.
Hey, I was about to say, not to go into the full spill of it. I'm just curious. Do you? Oh, this job didn't make me disappear. Do you believe in like ANCAPness and libertarianism generally is worth it from a perspective of liberty? Liberty is something worth valuing and protecting, regardless of the outcomes, or is it based on a belief that liberty taken to whatever its purest form will end up with every individual having a better quality of life than they otherwise would have?
I would never argue that every individual is going to have a better quality of life, right? Like some people are thieves and they run giant corporations and they, you know what I mean? Like I don't think Jeff Bezos is going to have a better quality of life if we implement liberty in this country. I think he'll have a lower quality of life. I think some people have a better quality of life. Some people have a worse quality of life. What I believe in and what I know to be true is that believing that the state is legitimate is an ethically unjustifiable position. So it's not possible for it to say that it is a moral good because it simply contradicts all logic. Now, if you ask from a consequentialist perspective, I would say that consequentialism and anarcho-capitalism must align, because if you had perfect knowledge, you would discover that only justifiable systems that are not conflict-inducing, but rather ease conflicts, such as anarcho-capitalism, would actually lead towards the most efficient, functional, and best quality of outcome of life. But that's like a happy coincidence. At the end of the day, it's just not logically justifiable, so I don't even need to get in to like whether the consequences are better or worse. I happen to believe that they are better.
Ali, you had a question for me, and I want to answer it before we wrap things up. Do you remember what that question was, Ali?
Yeah, it was. Do you think that what do you think is a better communal unifier for like political ideology or like anti-religious or like religion?
Surely not religion. And I don't think necessarily anti-religion is a unifier. I guess I reject that framework.
Like political ideology, you think is better unifier than like religion?
You said okay. I thought you said
no. That's true though, Prime. Like anti-religion is a negative. It's not a positive. It's not an ought. Like secular humanism might be an ought, a shitty one, but an ought nevertheless.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking I was thinking to Lactoid's point, like he was saying that like a lot more religious like content has been coming up, a lot more religious debates have been coming up, and for the past few years I've noticed that too, to the point where I heard one of the like atheists out of the UK, he was bringing up that Britain needs a cultural Christianity to make a comeback at the very least, because secularism and atheism can't be out like religion. Right, like that people that
we're seeing Gen Z is more religious than Gen X or millennials, right?
Well, and I was
Gen Z males have been fucked over to such a degree that they're just trying to find meaning somewhere.
And I'm saying for cultural purposes, like in the UK, the church or like Christianity would be a huge unifier, right? Because if you lose the church, you lose the churches, right? You lose all this little. Just I guess a part of what makes like England or people, right? And all they're left with is like political ideology, but that doesn't seem to be doing enough to unify the people. All the political
religion has a set of values, right? Religion imposes a set of values upon you, either voluntarily because you choose to adopt them, or because maybe the state imposes the religion, whatever. But nevertheless, religion has a set of oughts and ought nots. And the problem with pure secularism is what replaces that secularism. And if it's secular humanism, right, if it's just this belief of or it's just liberalism, just do whatever you want to do that makes you happy so long as you're not harming others, then what you have is you have whim worship. You just have whatever I feel in the moment or in that time, and that breeds instability, low time preference.
Or another religion. Or another religion comes in,
or another religion,
so
or another ideology like socialism.
So what I was saying, like in the UK, like if you like look at that within a vacuum, right? You have a bunch of people who are probably less religious, like maybe they're cafeteria Christians, whatever it may be, barely even that. But then so it's like a fairly secular state. But in that, you have people that don't feel like they have community. They see another group of people who aren't secular that do have a community, and people are kind of flocking to that. And because of that, you have this burst of like Islamophobia, right? You have these people who hate this group of people because they feel like they're taking away like the community and the people, and they're taking over what it is because, like, you know, so that's what I was saying. Like, do you think secularism or like political ideologies are like stronger like unifiers than like religion or like religious communities?
I don't think political ideologies are sufficient because they do not give you very few of them. I won't say they don't, right? Like Marxism.
Well,
is
it's
one that
religious or
does,
political ideologies, right? Those are the only two you're gonna like go with to like run a
Well,
community.
no, I would say like the real question is you have to look at this philosophically, right? Which is what gives a set of values and what gives a system of ethics. Secularism and liberalism doesn't give a set of ethics. Secular humanism does, but it's really weak. Marxism gives a set of ethics. I obviously disagree with it, but it says like these are the oughts of the world. This is how you ought engage in some degree, right? And so religion gives a very, very, very strong sense of what ought you do, how ought you engage in the world. It gives you, divine commandments on how you might engage in a plethora of scenarios. And so if you have a vacuum of oughts, right, you can have a period of time where you coast on the skeleton of your dead ancestors, right, or the corpse of God, from like a Nietzschean perspective, right, like God, like he's shouting God's dead and nobody notices yet. You're just kind of like, we're all standing on the corpse of God, right? You can have those cultural instantiations, but after a few generations, you have habits, but you have no connection to those habits. You have habits that were formed from a Christian belief, but you're just on Sunday Christian that pays lip service. You don't understand why those beliefs are there, and you don't have a strong sense of tradition. And so when some new group comes in with a strong sense of tradition, with like when you ask a Muslim, I have a ton of problems with Muslim. I hate Islam, right? Like it's an evil religion. It's more evil than the other ones as far as I'm
Get
concerned.
to it, man.
But if you go onto the street and you ask a Muslim why do they believe something, they have an answer, right? Like even if it's a bad answer, they have an answer as to why they have certain traditions and certain beliefs. But if you ask a liberal why, you'll watch their brain break. They don't know why. They just have a system of whims and a system of preferences and a system of like cultural traditions of which none of them are grounded in anything. And so it's deeply susceptible to an ideology that says, I have the answer to the question why. And so, yeah, like I'm against religious authoritarianism, but I also support objectivist philosophy because that is my branch of philosophy that gives an answer to the question why. But that gets a little bit away from the topic of like specific imposition and whether or not secularism is anti-religion, etc. But that's my answer to that question.
So let's wrap it up there, and we'll give everyone an outro. Guys, if you enjoyed this, whatever this is not something to enjoy, but like consider following the channel. I don't know. It's a streamer thing. I tick. So consider following the channel. We'll have more great discussions like this and whatever platform you happen to be watching it on. Thank you, FQ, for kindly supporting the channel. It's really great of you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll go down the line. Thank you, Lact. Hey, we're gonna practice the thing that I preach, okay? All right. Lactoid, you're fantastic, right? I really appreciate you, friend. I like that you take tough stances. And
like not eating pussy at your own detriment.
One toilet paper. Also to your own detriment.
Yeah, true. Anti-capitalist stance of not allowing Charmin to specialize in plying your toilet paper, but okay.
But like you bring a uniqueness to this panel and into my life, as a friend that I really can't get anywhere else. So shout out to you, Lactoid.
Yeah, if you like my takes and you want to hear more about how oral sex generally is kind of gross, like disgusting, gross, all that good stuff, you can find me at Lightweight TV, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Yeah, appreciate all of you, and rest in peace, Psycho.
Ika would agree with me that eating pussy is amazing. I mean, it's like that's amazing.
His mother
It's
still.
good.
His mother may continue watching.
Oh my God,
She
that's
agrees
true.
too.
She
She
may-
agrees too. She's like, hey, listen.
That's
I
true.
mean, like, I'll just keep watching. These guys are nice.
Aika was a
God.
dog. His mom knows that.
Don't know. Oh, you'll find out then. Sorry, Miss Rich, Miss Ika. All right, let's move on. But Corey, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a kind friend and like a great presence on this panel always, right? And I appreciate when you yell at libertarians, right? Like keep up the good work, right? The struggle never ends with these people. But you're here to fight the good fight. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. This panel is obviously mixed feelings. I enjoyed the conversation, but I wish Ika were here to engage in this conversation because I think he would definitely be able to much better contribute than even I did. But yeah, all that to say is this was, at the end of the day, great and good to remember and pay tribute to a great member in the space. But you can find me on Twitch, CoreyCam94, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, Substack, TikTok, I guess. It's Corey Campbell. And the last thing I'll say is at one point, I think Jebtan said a while ago that, we're all scrawny here. I reject that
I
claim.
didn't say that.
And
I love you all. I was just saying when.
No. Whoa. That's not what I said at all. I said you referred to all of us as scrawny.
I didn't say that. No, I didn't.
I'm pretty sure you said it because you were talking
No,
about.
he said a lot.
No,
He said
I
a lot
said
of you are.
Yeah,
He
no,
was
I
talking
was saying
generally to the audience
I was
too.
saying
He
to
told
the
the people
chat.
to eat fruit.
Oh, okay. All right, then I misunderstood. Either way, I still reject the claim.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Corey's jacked.
Yeah, he's jacked. Don't fuck around.
He's little.
watch
That doesn't count.
Be okay. All right.
I can bench press you.
And your house. You can bench press your house with you in it. How about that?
I can also bench press Fabian,
Yeah, I would
Oh,
never,
yeah, dude.
I would never accuse Corey of being scrawny.
Yeah.
Wait, can I just ask, Scott, how much, like, if you feel comfortable, how much do you weigh?
275.
You can bench
he's not
275?
6'5". That's pretty.
That's kind of
You're heavier than I expected. It'd be
Well,
like,
I'm not gonna-
Yeah.
it would.
I'm
I'm
I-
6'5".
That would be
so,
like
yeah.
it's pretty
I was
close.
about to
Pretty close to
say
my
that,
PR.
that was a whoa until I remembered how tall you were. I was about to be you a big boy.
Then what's the most
I can
you
still bench press
bench
you.
press then?
255.
You can almost bench press.
Okay.
That is a
Well,
All right, well,
very nice
if I
bench.
fucking
Corey,
eat more
158.
fruit, all right, then we can come together,
Yup.
and then eventually you can bench press my weight. All right.
How much do you weigh, Corey? 160?
155.
I would love to see
so
Corey lift you and
incredible
pull you
bench.
down closer and farther away from him. It'd be a great joy.
Let's go to our friend Gibbs. Yeah, I don't appreciate your breathing. Okay, I appreciate lots of other things about you.
I don't appreciate you
Gibbs.
breathing, Gibbs.
That's very rude.
They got to
But-
do less
but-
of that.
Did a
But-
memoriam and everything.
But Gibbs, the year special brand of chaos. I love it, and I've said before I'm going to keep you. It doesn't matter. No matter how deeply we disagree, right? You've always been a homie and a supporter here, and I like to return that as well.
Oh, I appreciate it. I enjoy coming. I will say though that I don't know. He called everybody scrawny, but I will call y'all tiny. And 275 is not very much to bench. So listen, get good scrubs, get bigger. It's better for you that way. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Oh, wait, Gibbs, how many push-ups can you do?
Plenty. Don't worry, I can do enough.
That's a great answer.
I know you
Plenty,
snore like
plenty.
crazy, Gibbs.
Don't worry. I can bench. I can bench a lot. I can squat a lot. We can lift quite a bit. It'll be all right. We'll stack a few of you up one day, and we'll just throw you up. Anyway, but yeah,
What's your decibel meter on you snoring at night?
high. It's a very high.
Great
It sounds like people are dying. Some people think it's a machine gun. Don't worry. They said nothing's wrong with me.
Gift subscriptions to him. He needs that to buy a CPAP machine.
I tapped the CPAP machine. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need what's that balloon thing? I need a balloonoscopy or whatever, and we'll. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll crack it back. It'll be all good. But yeah, thanks for having me, and R.I.P. Ico, you'll be missed.
Let's go to our friend Bam. Bam, I really appreciate you coming through. This was a lot of fun. Even if you didn't know Ico Rich so much, I know that you always have something interesting, something fun, and I love you, like the way you see other people, right? Your way of analyzing them and seeing their perspective. So thanks for coming on and sharing all that.
Thank you. I feel like you said nicer things about Lactoid than you said about me, but I will take it, I guess. I see now what our friendship means to you, and that's why you always put him first. Okay.
He is. I won that coin flip or rock paper scissors or whatever it was. I won that fair and
Rock,
square.
paper, you did.
Against who?
Against Bam.
Yes, man.
There you go, putting black man on the back all the time. I see that's where we're heading here. Since everybody.
So when things are equal, the black man loses. I see your bigotry, boys. All right. Affirmative action.
There was a white man on that
needed.
coin. we need to use some Harriet Tubman bucks. Flip those, and then we'll know. I go, like I said, I wouldn't say I didn't know him at all. Obviously, we shared panels, and like I said, he came in, he had conversation, he was active in chat. Like I said, he was a great person. Everybody's naming their numbers. I bench 405, I squat 650, and I can do 3 pull-ups max. But I also I'm overweight right now. I do weigh like 265. So I'm a big boy. I'm supposed to lift a lot.
Oh, you're a football player, or were a football.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still are.
Always are in my heart. But no, shout out to Ico. You were a real one.
You like One Piece, and Lactoid doesn't, and so like you always have one up on him, right?
I appreciate that.
I don't like
I
any
understand
anime
that.
besides one movie. There's only one anime movie I like. Everything else.
Your
sucks.
name is
Spirited
it
Away.
Mononoke?
Yeah, it's got to be Kimi no Nawa, right? It's got to be your name.
Give me no.
Do we want to debate who's going to be the final
What
boss?
is it?
Pokemon the
Say
first
it,
movie.
pussy.
It's the most like milquetoast, well-known one.
Pokemon 2000.
Pokemon
Okay, so
2000.
Spirited
We're not
Away.
counting Pokemon.
Spirited Away.
Dragon
Spirited
Ball
Away.
Z.
I said Spirited Away. That was my first guess. I
Wait,
knew it was
have
Spirited
I
Away.
you
didn't hear
seen? Have you
Sorry.
seen Your Name?
No.
You should.
Okay,
Dude, Your
well,
Name
that
is so
would
good.
be- Yeah. Once you get,
I was good. My second guess was going to be like Princess Mononoke. It's like a big one.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
his
they're all still
favorite.
good.
His favorite is Jinro, Night of the Wolf. That's what
I've
Lactoid told me the other
tried.
night.
I've tried
He's a
watching
big
a few
fan of that
different
one.
ones. The only one that like was kind of funny was like I think it was like Prison Jail or something. It was like very sexual, very funny.
Prison
actually.
School.
Prison School, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed at that one, but it wasn't like it. I didn't really take up.
Yeah, it's not really good. It's just
Yeah, it's not really
something
good.
that-
You have
It's
to you have to absorb enough Japanese culture and then come back to the ones that disgusted you and then be like, oh, I get it. They're just, like you have to rot your brain enough with anime and manga and manhwa, right? To where eventually you're just like, yeah, they like 15-year-olds in skirts for some reason.
Or just watch
and then
Attack on Titan.
eventually you can enjoy the movies you didn't enjoy before.
The thing that I hate most about anime is they like almost all of them except for Spirited Away. I think this is actually why that's the only one I kind of like. Is the internal monologue.
It's about to be a dog shit take.
No, the internal monologue. I can't stand that. I don't like. I
yeah.
don't need to
See,
hear
watch
what
Your
the,
Name. None of it in that.
No internal monologue.
not even that. Wait. Oh no.
Hold on.
seriously? I
There's
know
one
what's going on.
scene. There's one scene where
Yeah,
he wakes
true.
up
I
where
don't
there's
want a
an
single
internal
one.
monologue.
No,
Wait,
it's
like,
horrible.
There's just one scene.
Watch it, and we'll
Like,
piss
you-
out of our eyes together.
You will. I know your personality enough. You will like Attack on Titan. I know your personality. You said
Bro, that fucking show is the biggest hot pile of dog shit I've ever seen. Attack on Titan. I like
Attack on Titan is so mid.
I
Like,
wouldn't
you
think
get-
Gibbs
It's
would
so
like it.
good. I'm like, when is it good? When's it good? And then I finished it, and it was they fucking bamboozled me, bro. Like it was.
The ending is.
It's not even my
arguably
favorite,
worse
but
than the rest of the
Lactoid,
shit.
you would become attached to it. You'd be like, wow.
Listen,
I think
before you
I
start.
kind of
Attack on
I
Titan.
I
That's
get
better
where you're
die.
going. I get where you're going, Bam. And on the same line of logic, instead of Attack on Titan, maybe Vinland Saga.
He would like that too, yeah.
Nah, Overlord. Put him on the Overlord. Ames old goal.
Overlord.
No, Overlord's
If there's any
Overlord's
internal
such
dialogue,
a
I
trash,
don't want
fucking
to.
crappy.
That's what he needs.
No,
You're
no,
not
Overlord's
gonna
so
like-
bad.
Like
I would say
Demon
Yeah.
Slayer.
ReZero
Demon
has
Slayer
a
was like
lot
80%
of
internal dialogue.
monologue in ReZero.
Yeah,
Oh my-
Demon Slayer is good, but I wouldn't have picked that as like
It's
oh,
way
like
too
Yeah,
much.
no, Demon Slayer's beautiful, but it's just it's
Yeah.
not like you have to
Yeah,
be into
there's,
anime
like,
already.
shonen. Yeah,
And there's
very-
also like no fucking narrative development through most of Demon Slayer. It's just like one fight takes up half of the fucking season, which is a little annoying. But
I disagree with that. But okay, all right, we'll have to talk
I
about that
disagree
later.
too, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Let Ali have his
Um,
outro. He's just like these
yeah.
fucking nerds won't shut up about anime.
Well, we still got to go through Jeb as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is where like even though I love you, Lecter, there's always going to be a level of separation because you're not cool enough to like anime.
Fair enough.
Uh,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to our friend Jeb Tan. Jeb, thanks for coming on. We haven't had that many dealings. It's been a long time, but however, like you were like a high impact participator here, and we love that, right? Another libertarian doesn't want to shut the fuck up about that. So you guys
Pause.
breed good debate. You breed
Almost a
good
libertarian.
debaters. Okay, all right. You breed good debaters. So I appreciate you. You really did add a lot to this conversation. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming in.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, ending thoughts, I guess. Obviously, rest in peace, Rich. As far as the conversation we've had so far, I mean, beware of infringing on other people's rights and allowing the state. When to afford power to the state does not give up that power, even if it feels like they have, like post-COVID, right? Everyone said they gave up the power. No, they didn't, because they can still declare emergencies whenever they want and take all of that same power back. No power was actually rescinded. And as far as the actual base takes you should come from, I know that you guys are complaining that Fabian was long-winded, but he got to the core of it. Which was fundamentally that I think the reason for people getting into hardcore statism or hardcore religion, it all comes from this desire to have meaning and a personal code to live by. I don't think it's as much about organizing a community as people think. I think it actually is about what gives the individual an idea of where to go next. We grew up in a generation of gentle parenting, meaning you can't tell them anything about like what is good versus what is bad. Everything is equally chill and everything is equally not chill. Find an internal sort of compass, find your values, find your principles, and live by those principles, and you will have a better time. And Rich would be more proud of you if you did that than anything else. And the first thing you should think of is eating more of your fruit and doing more pull-ups. Okay, if you can do more pull-ups, you're doing a good job. And if you eat more fruit, you'll be able to do more pull-ups. I promise you, because your weight's going to go down and your strength's going to go up. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Jeb Tan skips leg day.
Fruits are steroids.
Truth.
Let's go to our good friend Ali. Ali, thank you so much for coming through, man. Like you're always fun. You always come here with a good nature. I'm not sure you'd always leave here with a good nature. I mean, like, after you get done with us. But Ali, I always love your attitude, and especially when I can get you into something like a prompt that really excites you. It makes me happy to see you really invest in these conversations.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, Mondays are my favorite night of the week, especially coming here, hanging out with you guys. It really, it's something to look forward to. It's something I do look forward to. And yeah, rest in peace, Kyle. Thanks for having me, boys. Thanks for having me, Prime, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Absolutely. And last but absolutely not least is my good friend Scott. Scott, like we have a long road, right? Mostly with a lot of antipathy, but
or don't mention the roads around libertarians.
Oh God!
Come on, man. 101.
There was a lot of okay. The band didn't want me to hear me say nice things about other people. So
maybe
but,
just me.
just you. But I came to understand you. I tell people this all the time, right? People are like, how can you be friends with Scott? Right? I just took the time after like trying to yell at you and convince you out of anti-statism, which didn't work out. I took the time to listen to you. I think you have a lot of interesting ideas. I think you're an extremely smart individual. And I think that you do your best in these conversations to want state your worldview, but to engage in these conversations with a passion that's like really matched. That's always great, and I love that, right? And like I said, I like people who think critically. I think you're one of the most critical thinkers I've ever seen, right? Again, doesn't matter if you come up with a different solution than I would. I love watching you like go through these dilemmas, right, and coming up with something interesting. So shout out to you, Scott.
Well, thank you. All I can say to all of that is you're welcome, that I'm here for you and for all of your entertainment. I am the greatest, and I am the greatest critical thinker of all time. Though I wouldn't use the term critical thinking because that is a carryover from Marxism, I would say rational thinking. That is true, though I'm mostly memeing. No, I appreciate you, Prime. Always love these panels. You were here for me from the beginning. And you were here when other people, wanted to blacklist me and blackball me in a lot of ways. And you were always, and you were always here, and you always had great topics, right? There's one thing I can look forward to is my audience often will hate it. That's the truth, right? My group of autistic libertarians will be like, who the fuck cares about this random little thing? And it's like, no, these little things that we're not talking about is where interesting conversation happens. Because like, why the fuck tune into a panel to hear the same three things that are being debated on Piers Morgan and debated on fucking every major panel? Because like this is the current thing, and we have to get we got to get the clicks by talking about the current thing. And I always love that it's like, what are we talking about tonight? It's like I every time you send me something, I'm like, kids are doing TikToks hopping on New York City subways. When the fuck did this happen? Right? It's always something I have to research because it's not something that's in the current zeitgeist. And so I appreciate that. Yeah, I am Fabian Liberty. You can find me on X or on YouTube. My stream was having like bitrate issues, so like I had to close stream halfway through. But nevertheless, I appreciate you. It all really stems down to two things, and Jebtan really hit on one of them, which is, philosophy without oughts is always going to be lose in a battle of ideas, because those secular humanism or pure secularism or rationalism of current systems is whim. It's preference. It's whim worship. And those things are going to lose out even against bad ideologies like Christianity or Islam or Marxism, because they have those answers to those questions, even if they're not good answers. And then secondly, it comes down to, you have to understand that if the state is claiming that it can fix problems, it does not matter whether or not you agree with that policy. What matters is that the state is imposing that, or the state is claiming that it can fix cultural problems, that it can fix the contradictions that it itself has created. And so it will always be used against you. Like if you can say over and over and over again, we need universal health care, right? And it's like, oh, I love universal health care is so good. This is a claim that the state can fix problems. And you think, oh, well, that's a great idea, right? Like, well, finally, there's this problem. And this problem is that, a pregnant woman has a baby at a hospital and it costs her $20,000. Wouldn't it be great if the state fixes that problem? And then you fast forward 5 years and some Christian nationalist is in power and they say, well, since we have control over healthcare, we're going to make it illegal for anyone to get hormone replacement therapy. Fuck your trans rights. Like that is the essential core element, is that the moment that you believe the state is fixing a problem is the moment that you are ceding power to be used against you, no matter what the problem is.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. And once again, I'll say rest in peace to my good friend Rich.
And rest in peace. I got Rich. My bad. You know what I mean? I got all excited and then I forgot. Also, one more thing to chat. Notice every motherfucker in chat talks about how long-winded I am and all this other shit, but none of them ever have a fucking argument against me because you know I'll dog walk you all, bitches.
Listen, I don't know if you read the same chats I do. They have lots of arguments against what you have to say every time. They make it known. They just
Battle Royale, Gibbs, bring me on. I'll fucking defeat every single one of them.
I have this issue though, and this is the issue I have, is less that they have arguments, right? It's more that
they
when
won't
you
come on face to face on
Yeah,
camera.
that's my issue. It's amazing you can say all these things as the voiceless, but when it's time to put a voice to the voiceless, the pussitis kicks in, and it's severe case of bitch assness or severe case of pussitis, one of the two. But all these fears.
Or
That's
the
also
name to the face.
Yeah, and by the way, that's also why I don't respect VTubers, bunch of pussies. Anyway, sorry. Fuck those bitches. Put a face out there.
So anyway, last thing, yes. Shout out to my friend Rich. I'm gonna deeply miss you. You are an amazing part of this community. Can't be replaced. But we're gonna have a bunch of great conversations. We're gonna continue doing that. I'll still be here, right? And I think if there is a better place, that you'll enjoy them. So shout out to you. I'm gonna rate out. It's going to be. See, I already got one picked. Okay, right? It's going to be a white blonde woman. Okay, right? And she's German. Lactwood will like that. And so I'm gonna send you her way.
But she's a woman. Lactoid won't love that.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's a white woman. Is she a German or is she in Germany? Because if she's in Germany, boys, all you have to do to get the police to come after her is say that politicians are parasites.
Oh my god.
Politicians are parasites in the chat. Let's go.
I'll catch you guys later.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Be well.
Wait, Scott. Real quick question. No, I don't need.
I've been off stream for like 2 hours, so like whatever.
So like.